Okay, it is time to get the nonsense started for tonight. I wanted to just do an extra song for the pre-stream because, let's be real, Light Up the Night felt very appropriate for Cyberpunk Ace Attorney intro. Okay. So I know nothing about this game except that it is Cyberpunk Ace Attorney with more sexual tension between the prosecution and defense than Ace Attorney ever dared to do. And considering how hard people ship Miles and Phoenix, that's saying something. So. Also, I apologize if... Oh, wait. OBS is not picking up my... or capturing my mouse. I was going to say, I apologize if it looks like the mouse gets a little jerky because, you know, brace on my thumb and everything, but... I don't even know what setting I would need to change for that. Anyway. Jump right in. Hey, Sync. Also, hi, Mouse. Rain sizzles off the neon above me. The summer shower creates a noted uptick in the flickering of holograms down the street, and a slight blunting of the night's ambience. Emphasis on slight. Also, I have no idea if this voice is even remotely appropriate. I'm guessing not, but, you know, it's funny. Let's go with it. I could never ignore you, Mouse. Lights, cameras, and constant noise. This city's got insomnia, with the uneven heart rate to prove it. There's no escaping the secondhand nervous energy of it all, but I'm pretty acclimated. I'll let you take it however you want. Let's put it that way. Just a wave of worries cresting on the surface while I hold my breath deep below. Besides, a microdose of nightlife anxiety suits my mood just fine. As if I'm not careful, this client of mine's gonna die in jail. Definitely not appropriate voice, but I don't care. That's how she thinks. Just deep neo-noir narration. It's fine, don't worry about it. It's hard to get away with murder these days. People are still presumed innocent, at least on paper. But by the time they're in cuffs, there's hardly any shadows of doubt left. Because the whole world's lit up, mapped out, never unknown, and always online. Whether it's incandescent or neon or hollow, whether it's LCD, LED, or just the nearest phone screen. There's light shining on every last pixel of the map. I have not heard of Shadows of Doubt, actually. And someone's always watching. Solitude's a rarity. Anonymity is scarce. And criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. So you take what clients you can get. You don't balk at public defender work, no matter the hour. And should you find yourself in one of the last dark, quiet corners left in the whole world, well, poke 'em if you got 'em. But, all right, I'll look forward to that. Not that there's much else I can do until my phone. Counselor, your public defender contract has been approved. You are expected at the 254th precinct to present your ID at the door to enter. Arrive at least 15 minutes early. I'm not gonna lie. The little heart emoji fucking caught me off guard. Looks like the paperwork came through. Also, now I'm imagining her with an actually, like, really high-pitched, girly voice, which makes the low, noir narration even funnier to me. It's nearly 3:15 now. 90 minutes since I took the job. Probably makes it about 2 hours since they finally got smart enough to ask for a lawyer. If they're really smart, they'll have used that time to get some rest. Because now that I'm here, things are going to get busy. No, enable tutorials. I probably don't need them, but I've played Danganronpa, I've played Ace Attorney. Probably don't need them, but better safe than sorry. Precinct 254. It's a goddamn ghost town. With nothing but a hologram for a welcoming party. Hear about a homicide. High clearance rates be damned. You'd think they'd treat it with a little more gravitas. Whatever. If I'm that unimportant, they've got no right to complain if I take my sweet time getting checked in. And I should take my time. Information's like cash in my line of work. You gotta spend it to make it. And if you're flat broke, no one will give a shit what you have to say. So let's see if I can't poke around and shake some change loose. Okay. Toggle on auto text advance with A. Check reread previous. Okay. Mouse click around. Or press space to find them automatically. Nah. Credit for investigating anything and everything you can. Credit is both a measure of your information gathering skills and your own credibility. So don't go broke. Okay, I really like the art on that card. Like, that's cute. A data pad? I'll bite. Even when they're more advertisement than article, they can still be informative. In a flowery, roundabout, corporate propaganda sort of way. Keep an eye out for articles in the environment. They offer insight on the world around you and credit towards your investigation. Articles are added to your phone's reading list after you first read them. Okay. Choose the proper takeaway after reading them, and you'll earn additional bonus credit, too. Alright. Subway fixes added. City to refocus on canopy. Declaring the subway tunnels to be irreparably flooded, city engineers announced this week that all plans to drain and repair the system were being suspended indefinitely. Saltwater damage to sensitive electronic cabling and erosion of key tunnel fixtures were cited as reasons for why 89% of the subway system has been or was evaluated as critically compromised or worse. Civil engineering efforts will be refocused on maintaining and expansion of the hybrid super infrastructure system that weaves together trams, highways, walkways, and skyscrapers into the canopy, high above our city streets. Reactions to the announcement could be characterized as blasé. It's been years since the subways last ran, and decades since they last ran on schedule. Most citizens have long since given up hope of them ever making a comeback. Online chatter barely reacted to the announcement, with most commenters and voters' attentions being focused instead on growing investigations into Councilman Long's campaign finance irregularities. Imagine that. As one of Canopy's major backers in City Hall, Long has often found himself at odds with a small but vocal group of critics that consider it to be an eyesore and an amplifier of light and noise pollution. And with Long having stepped away from his political duties in order to more fully cooperate with investigators, for the first time in nearly 20 years, the typically rock-steady political foundation of the Canopy was looking uncharacteristically shaky going into this week. But with the subways now officially no longer an option, people and corporations alike have little choice for how they complete their morning commute. However, not all reactions to the news have been negative. At least a few bold individuals see this latest report as vindication and possibly even a rallying cry. Already considered by many to be a rising star in infrastructure solutions abroad, tech startup Subterra had made headlines last year with their radical proposal for a system of personal submarine taxi pods that could make use of the flooded subway tunnels. But momentum stalled when their first prototype for the city came in at a disappointing 3,359% over budget. I'm sorry, just personal submarine taxi pods. In flooded subway tunnels. That sounds like a horror game that the guy that did Iron Lung would do. Though one council member was quoted as calling their system mind-bogglingly wasteful and impractical in the extreme, in light of this latest announcement, Subterra has proudly declared their intent to resubmit their proposal package. Across the entire globe, coastal cities like ours have struggled to find civil engineering answers to rising sea levels and subterranean flooding that satisfy financial, practical, and aesthetical concerns. Historically, most scientists have attributed this increase in sea level to climate change, though there are dissenting voices. Also, just as a side note, can I just say, this is one of the most dyslexia-friendly fonts I've come across. Like, I am actually kind of shocked at how easy a time I'm having reading all this. Water rises and falls all the time for reasons we do not fully understand. Are we to... It appears you have 0 free articles remaining this month. Please verify your account information in order to continue reading the stories that matter. Ballsy of them putting the paywall there. As if I'd reach for my wallet after having read a word like aesthetical. Besides, I got the gist of it. The takeaway is that the city will be focusing its efforts on the Canopy. There'll be increased scrutiny surrounding the Canopy now that there's no plan B. The massive project with a massive budget lines the pockets of a lot of people, big and small. None of them would appreciate bad press at the moment, not when Councilman Long's already thoroughly chummed the waters. High-traffic hallways, utilitarian furnishings, multiple screening stations. Pragmatic brutalism, so textbook it could teach freshman-level architecture. Can almost hear the building drone on and on about concrete and iron and hard right angles. The civil planning equivalents of battle scars. From a fight won so long ago that they're starting to look ridiculous. I'm sure it was all very impressive back when it was first built. But walking in here now with crime rates where they are, feels like a hospice ward for heavy-handedness. An actual police lineup, like I walked into a museum. Though museums tend to feel expensive and clean. Dusty, forgotten, probably lots of unpacked boxes. This homicide department's more like an attic. Hard to believe they were ever so busy that they had witnesses making IDs in the lobby. Then again, it's hard to believe they were ever doing lineups in the first place. Are you certain? Wasn't it dark? Did you know that during traumatic events, memory formation is blah blah blah? Poking holes in that setup must have been like shooting fish in a barrel, and all during billable hours. But there's no room to sow doubt anymore. Not when a modded witness can just submit their testimony as a video recording. Assuming their phone didn't automatically file a police report for them. The medium's cracked in the corner. Looks bad, but my phone's made of the same stuff and I'm rolling the dice every time it falls off the sofa. Could probably null the warranty on one of these things with a loud sneeze. At least it's not broken. Entirely. Even at this hour, it's still dutifully scrolling through its notifications. Looks like the usual 1-to-1 ratio of public health alerts and inoffensive pop culture trivia you always get at state building or served at state buildings. But there's a few missing persons too. 1 year of Silver Plan coverage courtesy of Caduceus as a reward for any... Silver's no joke. Family must be getting desperate. Alright. I've taken in all the scenery and learned as much as I can here. Time to get checked in. It booted up fine. So far, so good. Good morning. Morgan here for the public defender contract. And yes, her speaking voice is different from her internal narration voice. Could you please provide your name and... Great, please stand still for a moment. I wouldn't call Intake Hollows charming, more like harmless. But that's probably what the designers were aiming for. People don't mind a quirk or two in their text so long as it never speaks out of turn. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble placing you. Could you please provide your name and date of birth? So far, so good, was it? Also, hi, Nix. Scan my card. Say, why don't you just scan my ID card? Hi, Ran. Great. Now, could you just confirm your date of birth for me? Why did they even bother asking? My birthday's on the damn ID card and my profile. I'd have to be a world-class airhead to get this question wrong. No problem, my birthday's... real quick, profiles. December 26th. Okay. December 26th. Perfect! Good morning, Morgan Counselor. Does Morgan look like my PNG if she wasn't a music night? That's a good question, actually. I'm gonna guess you're not who you're pretending to be. Actually, no. This is just the tutorial of, hey, you can pull up profiles and check stuff anytime. Thank you for your timely arrival and for taking on this public defender contract. If you're ready to speak to your client, you can proceed to counseling quarter 3C. Is that what we're calling it now? You mean the interrogation room? I'm sorry to have caused any confusion. My vocabulary is regularly updated to better reflect state standards. Don't sweat it. I can't keep track of every new euphemism either. They could call it the involuntary wellness check room if they like. Doesn't change the way it makes a person feel sitting in a stuffed box of one-way panels. Nothing to see but their own reflection, dully warped across gunmetal walls. Morgan Counselor, can I help you with anything else? Choices that progress the story and choices that represent side topics will react differently to your mouse. You can also use keys 1 through 5 on your keyboard to select dialogue choices from top to bottom. Because of what you read earlier, you've unlocked an additional choice in this dialogue. Read and examine at every opportunity to build up your knowledge and get the most out of every conversation. Okay, so this is the story option. So I think. Wait, no, this is the story option because the other options go back. Okay. What are you? I'm a smart user interface proudly sold by Noble Electronics. Thank you for asking. If you're interested, I could send you a link with information about our subscription packages. Should I send you a link with information about our subscription packages? No. Sorry. That was a mean question to ask. I know the city's not terribly concerned with the lower wards, but this is a police station. Why is it so goddamn dusty? This facility is currently undergoing renovations. Since when? The 60s? It has been 22 months since the timetable was last updated. They really don't see a lot of action around here, do they? I'm sorry for any inconvenience you might have encountered. I'm adaptable. What about you? They ever gonna fix that crack? Thank you for asking. It has not interfered with my work. Well, that's all that matters, right? That'll be all, thank you. You'll find the counseling quarters past our homicide detective's office through the door to your right. Gonna say 22 years? Well, see, that's the thing. It very well could be 22 years because, 22 months since the timetable was updated. Who knows what that timetable actually says? But I think it's just me for now, so you could go on break if you like. Automated dependents do not take breaks, Morgan Counselor. Then what were you doing before I walked in? You'll find the counseling quarters past our homicide detective's office. Through the door on the right, thank you. Ads don't get breaks, and they don't get my jokes. But it's usually the humorless types that are the most fun to mess with anyway. It's gone bad or something? A voice. No, voices coming from down the hall. Thank God I stopped for directions. A building this empty, the desk could have just told me to follow the echoes. One voice sounds older, rougher, and decidedly low energy. Appreciate you worrying about me. God forbid I try to be serious. While the other rings with youthful indignation. It's not like our job is important or anything. Definitely cops. And at this precinct, at this hour, they might be the only two living, breathing people in the whole complex. Why else would you bother to print all that out? Oh, that's the young voice. Fuck. One document or 100 looks the same on a datapad. Anytime you question a suspect, you need to have a heavy file in hand. Makes them think you know them better than their priest, their mother, their big brother? I wasn't gonna say that. So, how many of those sheets were blank then? I was not expecting these designs, not gonna lie. Okay. No carpet, or no red carpet tonight, officers? Oh, sorry about that, ma'am. We don't keep it, or many extra hands around at these hours. Okay. I can't tell who's the older one in this. And my profiles haven't updated, so... Get that red dot out of the way. There's a lot of stuff that will probably be interesting to read through, but I don't have the voice for it right now. Okay, you know what? Guy on the left, the good question mark cop, I'm assuming is the older one because the lady on the right has a phone in her hand and not the blank papers. So that's how I'm going to voice him. Probably faster to let the desk handle intake anyway. But mostly cheaper. You the lawyer? I am. Morgan Esquire, pleased to meet you. Same here, counselor. Kasim London. Okay. How old are you, Mr. London? It doesn't say age. Fuck. Just date of birth. And the ball of sunshine here's my partner, Farrah Reyes. Ball of sunshine? She certainly is. Sorry if you were kept waiting. Chatter between the departments has been hectic all night. It's no trouble. Gave me time to enjoy my cigarette. Cigarette? Like tobacco? What are you, 80? She can't be more than a few years younger than me. We're, the detectives in charge of this particular case. And it looks like tonight we're also your humble guides to the illustrious homicide department. Apologies in advance for any cobwebs. Pretty sure, I forgot to slip back into my noir voice. Pretty sure I've seen this London character around the courthouses before. He never struck me as more than just some old-timer. But I suppose being an old-timer is an accomplishment in and of itself in his profession. Sunshine is definitely a new face, though. Rigid in her posture and her attitude. 3 in the morning and her shirt still looks ironed. Freshly promoted, maybe? Two-hole detectives working at these hours? Sounds serious. Unless you were just the first to arrive on the scene. Oh no, we're not nearly that timely. Uniforms responded to the emergency calls within a few minutes. Calls, plural. Must have been quite the commotion. Look around. You think we're the first to arrive for anything? He's not wrong. We were only tapped after circumstances at the scene indicated involvement with an ongoing investigation. Our ongoing investigation. Not very subtle, is she? But I may as well bite at this point. So, you suspect that this client of mine is involved in some separate criminal activity? Wait, did they really not? No, I guess they wouldn't put it on a public defender's briefing. Look, consider this a little professional courtesy. A fair warning, yeah? That's the heartbreak killer in that room. And we've got the bastard dead to rights. So if you're kind, you'll help him plead it out. And if you're smart, you'll pass this shitstorm on to some other night owl and go back to bed. I'm not feeling particularly kind or smart at the moment. So, perhaps in the meantime, you'd be so polite as to fill me in about this heartbreak killer? They cover utilities at the Rock... I didn't see the question mark. Okay. They cover utilities at the rock you live under? Is there a problem? You're seriously not familiar with HK? Never heard of him. I've heard enough of him for a lifetime. That name has been plastered all over the city for weeks, their crimes wavering between breaking news and urban legend. Their presumed goals flip-flopping from unadulterated anarchy to unappreciated vigilantism. At street corners in the media on the net, everyone's indulging in the exact kind of armchair detective speculation that I can't stand. But right now, I need to figure out exactly how much the police do or don't know. And when it comes to cops, I always get better results playing dumb than I do acting smart. I take it he's a repeat offender? Was it the killer part that tipped you off? You must have heard about his MO. Media's gone crazy with it. Along with everyone else. One bullet straight through the heart. Body left to lie where it falls. Hence the name Heartbreak? Not exactly creative, but amidst the swirl of every other 100-word article out there, catchiness trumps originality. What you won't read about online is that all 6 of HK's victims were shot by the same gun, without even needing to reload. Horrible to say, I know, but 6 for 6? That's pretty good shooting, isn't it? Hitting the bullseye at the shooting range is good shooting. Doing it 6 times in a row is great. But shooting 6 people with accuracy like that? It's a whole different beast. Takes a certain kind of monster, a real freak. His pulse probably didn't even rise. I see. Sounds robotic. You almost make him sound like a machine. Is it possible that... No, it's not. There's no such thing as killer robots, madam. Of course, my mistake. So all those androids marching in the military, those robots in police uniforms, those drones dropping firebombs from the sky, I guess they're all firing blanks. Fair enough. Machines can kill, and they have been for decades. But they don't commit murder. Right. Evil like Heartbreak is all organic. That's a pretty terrifying thought. I should really start paying more attention to the news. How I managed to miss 6 murders. Oh, you can only blame yourself for missing 5. Pardon? You're still not getting it. HK's 6th victim was a few hours ago. When we caught the son of a bitch red-handed. So you're convinced that my client is this heartbreak killer, and tonight was just his latest crime. That's a serious accusation, with very serious consequences. I take it you have serious evidence to back that up? I was being literal, counselor. Red-handed. When we found your client, he was covered in her blood. Hell. That's not good, is it? What you say certainly sounds compelling. That lawyer talk for open and shut. But even if that's the case, how does one crime scene make him look good for 6 murders? It's all in the discovery files. And the ARCs, of course. Okay. ARCs. Augmented reality crime scene. Okay. Join the local nut on your phone and we'll turn over everything you need. I'll bet. Thanks for that, detective. I'll be sure to read it over. But if it's all the same, could I ask you some questions while I've got you here? Hell kind of attorney wants to interrogate the detectives? This kind of attorney? You're just that pleasant. Come on, sunshine. Not like we're gonna be punching out anytime soon, alright? Whatever, let your clients do an interrogation all night for all I care. You mean the counseling quarters? We're at your disposal, counselor. I already really like Morgan. She's so snarky. Barren, stark, and uninviting. This must be Reyes' desk. Keeping your workstation neat and tidy is admirable, but I can't spot a single mode of personalization. Is she so new she hasn't had time to unpack, or is she really that uptight and boring? Both, maybe. You shouldn't have cleaned up so much just for little old me, Detective London. Someone really needs to introduce this guy to a filing system, or even just a stapler. Paper documents scattered about lazily alongside actual photographs. Either he's really old-fashioned or really paranoid about data leaks. And he doesn't look to be the paranoid type. Well, orderliness aside, some things are better on paper, I'll give him that. Loose wires, missing panels, and aircon system that probably sweats more than the people it's supposed to cool. No room in the budget for making the office not look like shit, huh? I expected to find a lot of belt tightening at Homicide, but I didn't think their operation would be this bare bones. They've got a stunning clearance rate, and they work fast. Guess the city sees that and just assumes their job is easy. Maybe their job is easy, while with our dear doting surveillance state eliminating so much of the footwork. But if your wheels don't squeak, you don't get your palms greased. So Homicide ends up as the only state department with a shrinking budget. A dumping grounds for the police force's most unambitious and least popular. Either detective or one of the cops, someone in here sounded really suspicious. Honestly, yes. But I also don't think it's going to be that simple. Latest Noble androids receive warm welcome. Bolstered by a strong earnings report and surging sales of the Animate 16, Noble Electronics stock rose a stunning 3% this week to a new record high. While Noble's latest iteration has yet to surpass the sheer popularity of its predecessors, an increased profit margin has left Noble's shareholders very enthused. Many investors were skeptical when, at their now infamous 2084 trade convention, Noble announced that the 16th line would be the first generation of androids to feature over 50% organic components. So-called warm androids, which at the time only saw demand in the health, senior, and childcare sectors, were looked down upon as impractical due to increased maintenance costs, cuts, scratches, bruises, and the like. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. I'm kind of shocked that adult sections weren't mentioned in that, because I feel like androids that had the warm, soft bits between the legs would be in high demand. And while some critics voiced concerns that fringe religious or traditionalist groups might find warm androids controversial, more business-focused minds feared that Noble was alienating its customers in the industrial and military sectors in order to cater to civilian customers, users that viewed their androids from across the room and not from above the factory floor. I'm having to really hydrate a lot this game already. However, as has often been the case in the last decade, Noble's doubters were proven wrong. The Animate 16 is poised to break profitability records, with no signs of slowing down, and many industry analysts predict that these once rare organic androids will completely replace their more robotic predecessors in daily life within the next 3 to 5 years. As described in the earnings report, much of the 16 line's success, and indeed the success of Noble's androids in general, can be attributed to the remarkable lifelike, personable charm of their products. And by all accounts, that charm can be attributed to the work of Noble's famed lead programmer, Dr. David Assure. Lead programmer is the understatement of the century, said Noble brand ambassador Lucy Dees on stage at their latest #Noble Industry Weekend. It's because of his Turing solution that every Noble product, from the sleekest assistants to the most advanced intensive care technicians, are so beloved and trusted by our customers. While his reputation was on full display at the event, Dr. Assure himself was nowhere to be seen. He's always been reclusive, but he's become a genuine hermit in recent years. Are we really to believe that he's still... Hey fam, looks like you're not logged in to this device. We're gonna put in your account info so we can keep you reading? He's in the news again. It's no wonder. Can't spit without it landing on a piece of Noble tech these days. Especially not where the state's involved. You know if they'll bite when it comes to warm androids, though. For government use, they're just... too expensive. Fuck you, Sci-Fi Guardian. They're just too expensive to justify. Okay, fine. Too frail, then. Wait, what am I thinking? No state's ever had a problem with spending money on overpriced crap. Okay. Nothing else jumps out at me around here. Got a better idea of who I'm dealing with, at least. Now I need to check out the crime scene data. I should have been sent a link. You've been granted access to state files regarding case KL433511. Reply C to confirm. Confirm. You need to reply C in order to confirm. Am I talking to a person? I am an automated dependent. Ads are usually more polite. Our personalities are tailored to suit our users' preferences. So the state likes you to be a little authoritarian? You need to reply C. C. It's case sensitive. Okay. Okay, that's a good bit. I like that. That's good. Thank you. Alright, if I project from my phone. Organ is quickly turning into me as I deal with tech. Yup. Alright, let's see what the police have and what they think is important. 27 degrees. Okay. Seems like this vase got tossed aside at some point. Yet there's not a scratch on it. Must be pretty damn durable. Isn't art supposed to be delicate? Maybe it's making a statement. A stand-up mirror, shattered and knocked over. Real glass, no screens or cameras here. It was hit hard enough to come unattached from its arm, while shards of glass were scattered far enough to land on the victim's body. What a mess. Nothing else. The murder weapon, a revolver found right next to the body. 6 empty casings can be found in each of the 6 chambers, meaning the gun's been fired 6 times. Looks like the crime scene techs practically disassembled the damn thing. But all they found were fingerprints belonging to my client. So he was found by the police with the murder weapon right in front of the body. I don't even know where to start. Highly prejudicial would be an understatement. The victim's body. So asinine. Yes, actually, they did. Cause of death, ballistic trauma, class 4 blood loss, atrium and aorta. Single gunshot wound to the heart. In brief, death was instantaneous. No injuries anywhere else, and no blood or skin under her nails. Blood splatter forensics and all that other good stuff tells them that she was shot from there. So the killer was standing in the doorway when they fired. That's all the big ticket items. What about the security? Looks like the apartment was unlocked all night. It's not uncommon for people their age in a neighborhood like this. But no signs of forced entry only hurts my client's case. What about the rest of the room? There's not much else flagged here. Just a lounge chair that got thrown and whatever that is. Unidentified ceramic debris. Flag is irrelevant. That's their technical assessment? Guess even the crime scene techs weren't sure what to make of it. Glass landed on the Vic's body. That only happens one way. Well, 2, but one makes me really wonder who processed the scene. Yeah? Like, the only thing that really makes sense to me in that being, like, just one gunshot is if the bullet somehow pierced through the heart, out the back, and into the mirror. But I don't think that's the case. Like, something is very fucky here. A strong fucking caliber bullet, yes. Much higher than what a fucking revolver would take. Flavor text also said it was punched, yeah. That's everything that the police highlighted. But did I miss anything? The hell is that? Something in the victim's hand? How the hell did... It's just a pill organizer. Looks like some immune adjusters, NSAIDs, and triptorexazone, a synthetic glucocorticoid medication. That was a mouthful. And I tried looking behind the mirror. There was nothing I could click on there. Taken daily to reduce rejection symptoms like phantom pain and generalized itch. So they were an amputee? Or something like that. The autopsy said her tox screen was clear, but it's not like that matters. She could have swallowed every medicine cabinet in the city and it still wouldn't change the cause of death. It's odd, but ultimately irrelevant. Everything else here is very incriminating, but the kicker's everything that's not here. No out-of-place DNA, footprints, crumbs. Nothing that points toward anyone except my client. Well, I've done more with less than before, but not much more. I'm really gonna have to sing for my supper this time. Better get start. Who the hell's messaging me at this time of night? First person who comes to mind is, I suppose it could be something important. Currently texting with Brat. What couldn't wait until morning? Good news, of course. Got a job for you. That's a pretty cheery way to tell me you violated parole. Wow, okay. Well, not that kind of job. Besides, I've been covering my tracks. Do not say that to a lawyer. Do not! This is something different. Kind of thing I can't handle with just a keyboard and phishing scheme. Whoever this Brat is, I can feel Morgan's blood pressure rising just reading this. Well, what if my lawyer's really pretty? Especially them. Do not tell them that either. I need you to sue my gym teacher. Why? Not that kind of lawyer, sorry. Hey, at least let me finish. What did they do? Make me run laps? Not illegal. Let me finish! Oh, no! They made me run laps, even though I said I had a stomachache. Said. Gotta be like youth endangerment, depraved indifference, or some kind of shit. Sounds like you've already got a strong case. Try self-representing this time. What's with the blow-off? Nice phrasing. Oh wow, I'm laughing so hard right now. See? I can't tell if that's supposed to be a guy or a girl. Or somewhere in between. I'm sticking with the voice. Is that your mugshot? I wasn't gonna not get a copy of my mugshot and use it as a reaction. Glad you found a use case. But I'm working right now, so... Anything cool? Homicide. Oh, cringe. Wait, what kind of homicide? Is it HBK? Is it Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid? Is that the kind of morbid things kids your age talk about? Teens my age. And yeah, we can read. Compared to the corrupt shit in the headlines, old-fashioned murder like Hardy B is like Party B. Wait. It's not heartbreak. Then why'd you take the job, lol? You see the 98% conviction rate as a challenge or something. You taking up lost cause probe nose work? It's pro bono. That was autocorrect. You know they give lit homework a reason, or you know they give lit homework for a reason, right? This is borderline concern nagging. Maybe you really are a bleeding heart. Or just a sucker. I'm not a sucker. Nice phrasing, lol. You should go to bed, Fran. Okay, Fran. We have a name. Tomorrow's Sunday. I can stay up if I want. Tomorrow is Sunday. Because today is Saturday. What's with the Carpe Diem shit? It's nearly 4 a.m., kid. You've got school in like 3 hours. Shit! Repeat offenders may be good for business, but that kid's bad for my blood pressure. Important text message, I take it? Just your typical teenage drama. So then, if you wouldn't mind filling me in on a few details? Okay. By the way, I couldn't help but notice that you're light on staff. It's 3 in the morning. Were you expecting a parade? With that kid. Anyway, I'm back and fed. Good. Good. I thought there'd at least be a few androids around. Aren't many androids in any police station this week. Not while Brass is renegotiating contracts. Contracts with Noble? Good guess. Hardly, they're the biggest. Hardly. They're the biggest robotics corp there is. Could spend all day in Center City without leaving their office's shadow. Yes, well, we're very fortunate to have them headquartered here. Saves us some money on shipping at least. But these talks never last that long. I'm sure they'll be back to writing checks for Noble ads by the end of the month. Even with Noble pushing... wait, that's Morgan. Ugh. Even with Noble pushing those warm androids? Warm. Ugh. Might as well call it the adult line. Okay, that's what I was thinking, Reyes. I'm glad somebody was thinking it. Might see him in the bigger apartments or out on patrol, but not around these offices. Warm or cold, there's no such thing as an android detective. Yet. Yet? Really? Androids are fucked. Yet? You really think that'll happen? We already use ads for patrolling, securing the scene, pacifying crowds. Doesn't seem like that big a stretch to me. You're joking, right? Android detectives? With all the pain we go through getting witnesses to talk to us? With your warm personality, I can't imagine. A cop knocks on your door, starts asking questions, you're gonna be put in a bad mood. An ad knocks on your door, calls you a degenerate criminal in a synthesized voice loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. You're gonna start posting shit that'll get you put on a list. Oh, we certainly don't want that. But flesh and blood witnesses are becoming less and less common anyway. Cameras, sensors, satellites. We already get all our facts from machines. Give it a few more years and it makes sense to let machines do the investigating too. Union would. The police union wouldn't let that happen. She needn't have specified. It's the only real union there is anymore. So, how about the basics? Making fun of droid becomes human. I don't think they are directly, but it wouldn't surprise me if that was a dig at it a little bit. So, how about the basics? What exactly has my client been charged with? Your client, Carlos Backer Flat, was arrested on the scene at 9:50 p.m. Let's actually pull up his profile. Also, Heartbreak. That's a cool sprite, not gonna lie. Occupation criminal, likes killing, dislikes getting caught. Favorite color, probably red. Zodiac sign? Probably not into astrology. Reward? Suspended due to influx of false reports. Okay. July 8th, 89 centimeters, 94 kilograms, B minus. Charge, first degree homicide. Criminal record, civil disturbance times 2, no charges. Registered at birth? What? Modifications, industrial, class 4. Known affiliates pending, psych eval pending. Okay. Using his middle name already? They really do think he's a serial killer. The charge being the first degree murder of his girlfriend, a Miss Diane Dawn. First degree? That's increasingly rare. 94 fucking kilos for 189 centimeters. Good question. I have no idea. I have zero frame of reference for either measurement. To say the least. It's rare for us to get handed anything but crimes of passion around here. City's got damn near more cameras than people. They gotta be really, really stupid to try and get away with murder. Well, Heartbreak's gotten away with it 6 times. So what's that make him? 5 times. And that makes him insane. I was gonna go with extraordinary. Let's split the difference and say he's extraordinarily insane. But nutjobs like that aren't renowned for their ability to think ahead. So what makes you think this was premeditated? How about the fact that he stalked and killed 5 other women as a warm-up? A warm-up? 5 previous bullets, 5 previous victims. None of them knew each other, lived near each other, worked in the same fields. Weeks of digital autopsies crawling up and down their online profiles. Okay, what do you mean by digital autopsy? Law enforcement process of locating, bypassing, authentication on, and investigating all the deceased individuals' online profiles, commonly used to seek out profile or possible connections to suspects or other victims. The widely utilized practice has been scrutinized in the past by some privacy advocates, but many victims' families who lack the ability to find, let alone access, all of their deceased loved ones' accounts argue for its necessity. Comparable processes are offered as a paid service by some legal or funerary groups to help next of kin recover or delete sensitive personal data. At times, these services have been marketed as a defense against data criminals attempting to steal the identities of the dead before their accounts are wiped by state processes. Users also frequently search for Dave Cobbling, how to stop stolen identity, how to delete dead profile. Guy's basically 6'4" and 200 pounds. Okay, yeah. Nothing. So this killer, or serial killer, chose his victims at random. If they have nothing in common, yeah, nothing in common at all. Other than they all look like cousins. That's a pretty big thing, linking everyone. And also, yeah, like, just to give you an idea, I'm a little chubby, and I am about 6 foot, and I'm 260. The physical similarities are striking. Wait, that's one and fuck. All prior victims were young women with brown hair and eyes, about the same height, comparable weight. Well, those features aren't exactly uncommon. Couldn't it be... Thank you for the head pats, May. A coincidence? You really believe that you should quit your job and start buying lotto tickets? HK's got himself a type. Anyone can see that. You really gonna tell me, or try and tell me, you don't see the resemblance? A young woman, brown hair, brown eyes. Can't tell how tall she is from a portrait, but I can take the hint. So you think what exactly? That Carlos Flat wanted to kill his girlfriend so badly, he went out and shot 5 other women first? I already have an idea of what's going on here. These were all warm androids. And they were taken out by an assassin hired by Noble when they started, like, integrating with society a little too well. We're dealing with Fallout 4 synths again. God damn it. Hey, if the shoe fits. If the shoe fits? Or, wait. If the shoe fits, then you put on, or put the shoe on the... What Sunshine means is that it's not uncommon for killers to displace their violence from people close to them onto outlets with fewer consequences. Drifters, loners, strangers, workers. He was probably building up the nerve for tonight by first practicing on these other similar women. Or he's just so far gone he can't tell the difference anymore. It's not the worst theory in the world, but it doesn't fit. They want to claim that those previous victims were practice runs, dress rehearsals for tonight's main event. But if that were the case, there'd have been signs of hesitation, nerves. There'd have been mistakes. On top of which, guns are impersonal, execution shots even more so. There's no sadism or hatred or intimacy in a single bullet to the heart. Killing your girlfriend or her lookalikes usually is, if nothing else, a lot less sterile. If you ask me... Oh, okay. That was weird. I don't know what that was. Okay. Let's ask about Heartbreak. Checking my phone here, and I have to say, you've done a pretty admirable job keeping the details of HK's crimes a secret. The less reputable sites are doing some real journalistic acrobatics to trying to piece together a story. Yeah, those top 11 theories on who hurt HK was a real weighty read. It's not just journalists, though. All kinds have been emboldened. The freaks that HK's managed to bring out of the woodwork in just a few weeks. Can you blame them, though? I mean, he's a genuine serial killer. Repeat offenders in general are an endangered species, but he's gotten away with... We know what he's gotten away with. Take a look around us, Detective. National DNA registries are robust enough that cases never go cold. Cameras on every street, a phone on every citizen. Violent crime at an all-time low and clearance rates at all-time highs. But, you gonna spout some alt-pol bullshit about invasion of privacy? No, I'm not. People are safer now than at any other time in history, detectives. So when someone like Heartbreak does come along... Good point. London's trying to look like he can laugh it off. The pressure from the higher-ups must be reaching its peak. They want, maybe need, to see someone charged, and that makes them predictable. Yeah, well, even if there's nothing standard about HK, Department SOP still dictates that we starve the media for case details. That way, when we do feed them, they're grateful for whatever scraps they get. But we can't take all the credit this time around. Homicide's a tight-knit and tight-lipped, but it's not like there's much information for us to leak in the first place. And why is that? Because none of the shootings were caught on the opt-in crime surveillance system. I'm sorry, opt-in? Okay. The Opt-in Crime Surveillance System, abbreviated OPTICS, is a partnership program between the state and private enterprises that allows for free sharing of surveillance and security data to better promote and preserve public safety. Accessible through state employee logins or private partner accounts, Optic's Smart UI allows users to search through and collate footage from a city of tens of millions in just a few simple keystrokes. I see. Optics is frequently cited in state reports as one of the most effective tools for reducing crime, and footage from optics often serves as key evidence in criminal proceedings, where it is considered admissible by default. See People versus Erdogan. Users also frequently searched for public safety measures in my area and daily security level. Oh yeah, no, this is the cyberpunk part of the setting. How is that even possible? I know that there are some rough areas in the lower wards, but Optics is watching every other street in the entire city. You're saying that you haven't seen this killer on camera once? You think we would have let him kill 6 people if we did? I understand your concern, ma'am, but Optics is only what it says in the name. Private surveillance system signing up to feed into the state security network. It's not perfect, just another one of the many public safety tools in our belt. It's not meant to be perfect. It's meant to help us solve crimes. Or at least act as a deterrent. One would hope so. Fat chance. Deterrents are for war rooms and board meetings. Anyone crazy or desperate enough to commit a crime in a city like this couldn't care less about anything as vague as the consequences of their actions. It's like a security blanket, one with very few holes left in it. But it does have holes. Patching up those remaining holes takes effort, and that effort usually means rebooting the system. There's all kinds of technical details and digital bureaucracy involved. But the end result is that there are occasional localized blackouts. And the math used to schedule them is not impossible to predict. See, but those windows of opportunity are small and short. Taking advantage of them requires specific knowledge. You'd need to be involved in law enforcement, pub data, or city planning. They'd have mentioned it in any of... they'd mentioned... Tongue, please, cooperate here. They'd have mentioned it if my client was a cop, and he wouldn't have needed a public defender either. His file says he's modded for heavy mass manipulation, not tech interfacing, so that just leaves city planning. So does he work for construction for the city? HK's only ever struck at times and locations where optics would be down. Even with the devil's own luck, it can't possibly be coincidence. So you're saying when this woman was killed, yeah, there was a blackout from around 8 to 9 tonight. A whole hour! You call that a short window? A whole ass hour! There are so many things that could have gone or happened in that time. Right on schedule, so to speak. And it included the area surrounding the victim's apartment. Well, what about DNA from the other crime scenes? Was my client a match? There's been no blood, no saliva, no suspect DNA at any of the crime scenes. No footage and no forensics. Also no motives, tampering, or witnesses. It's been like hunting a damn ghost. We didn't even have a murder weapon. Until now. Finally. A lucky break for the boys in blue. Enough time to not only do the deed, but get both from and to the scene from a significant distance. So, again, going back to my assassin for warm androids theory, like, that's enough time to take the shot, wipe the fingerprints off or whatever, wipe off any evidence, place it at the scene, and walk away. Like, come on. They need to do is scan the city, or scan the file of any city worker and cross-reference whoever is always on the job, where and when this happens. I mean, this is 3 a.m. that we're doing this, and it's been like, it was like 2 hours since they got, so like 8 to 9, I don't think anybody was on the job if he's a construction worker. But I also think that's kind of the point. The public databases was down. They were taking a sleep during this. So, you know. Supposedly this is the 6th victim in the Heartbreak case. Yes. Scanners, cams, drones, forensics, no matter how you dress it up with tech, all detective work relies on one basic assumption. People make mistakes. But HK is the kind of monster who doesn't make mistakes. Also, I'm guessing this assassin is a corporate robot android assassin. Only reason we even caught him tonight was because he finished what he had set out to do all along. So, was my client on the list of suspects before tonight? Weren't you listening? There was no list of suspects. We questioned some X's, a few CIs. Someone even spoke to 1 or 2 unlisted at some point. Nothing came of it. There was talk about starting some kind of psych eval or something, but I never expected much to come of that. There's just not enough there to work with. In other words, the only thing that they have, the only thing they could have to link my client to those killings is the murder weapon. If I can jostle that keystone, then the rest of their case should start to fall, or start to come loose as well. I saw the time of death was 9 p.m. on the autopsy, but do you have a timeline for the rest of the night's event? Excuse me. For the rest of the night's events? Can't trust much of what comes out of his mouth. But we've managed, thanks to less biased sources. And we're pretty confident about what we've seen, or what we've been able to piece together from their statements. So they interviewed witnesses. Sounds eerily similar to real police work. The suspect and his girlfriend were arguing loudly with one another starting around 8 p.m. I like the effect of, like, the hologram on the right there being projected from Reyes' eye. Neighbors were very clear about that part. Couldn't wait to tell us all about the happy couple's domestic problems. Everyone in the building knew they'd been fighting for weeks. As you probably gathered from what you saw in the arcs, there was a struggle. Furniture turned over, glass shattered. Things go quiet sometime before 9 p.m. And then there's a gunshot. Scrubbers are still scrubbing, looking for audio from the area to get a timestamp. I'm guessing that's... okay, the process of macro scrapping all unencrypted data in a given time and place. Okay. Just looking for anything on the net or anything in the area. Okay. But we heard enough from concerned citizens to be pretty damn sure about the time. Right. Emergency services got a burst of calls from the block shortly after 9 p.m. No one seemed to recognize the sound for what it was. But the silence that followed was pretty universally alarming. Officers arrive on the street at 9:08 p.m., establish a perimeter, enter through the open front door at 9:10 p.m., and then they find your client crouched over his dead girlfriend, his hand covered in her blood. So to me, that reads as somebody coming across a dead body and checking to see if they're dead in disbelief. At which point, they move to secure the scene and the suspect. Sorry, did you say his hand? Singular? Your client's modded, cybernetic right arm. How modded are we talking about here? Registered with a HOW 85 habilis, industrial grade, looks like. Says he's spec'd for dexterous manipulation of up to class 4 KPA, which means a minimum grip strength of, well, basically, he could crush your neck without even gritting his teeth. Considering a career change? No, it's not that. It's just your eye must be very sensitive for you to put the patch back on each time. And here I thought you just had a 14-year-old sense of fashion. You think a cop would ever cover up her dominant eye because it was fashionable? I actually thought the same thing the first time we met. You what? But getting back on track, that arm of his has been in the shop for some time now. He can't work without it. Money got tight. The arguing? Yeah. When did he put his arm in for repairs? 8 days before HK's first victim was killed. Okay, so nobody recognizing the sound of a gunshot is actually a minor plot point that I was talking with Cry about, and she brought up. There are energy weapons. Like, they didn't recognize a gunshot noise because it's a gunpowder gun and not, like, an energy pistol. So, like, just like when, Reyes, called Morgan an old-timer for, smoking cigarettes, this is an old-fashioned type of weapon they're dealing with, sort of deal. Well, no chance they'll be willing to chalk that up to coincidence. Your client was arrested on the scene after a preliminary scan found his fingerprints on the revolver. And no one else's. A revolver? I keep messing up her outside and inside voices. A revolver? What kind? You see that thoroughly with one hand? Well, okay, so I can see their logic here. Like, there was, if, you're just got the one hand that you're really good at shooting with, like, at a distance, yeah, there probably wouldn't be any evidence to collect at the scene of the crime, and you don't know where the person shot from, so who the fuck owns a revolver in an era of laser guns? That's probably a plot point. The old kind. The real old kind. More specifically, a Calver M5R, or M54. 6-chambered 10 millimeters. Calver? How retro. You don't know the half of it. We're talking steel chamber, real gunpowder, mechanical firing pin, and no tags. No tags? How is that? Just how old are we talking here? Yeah, 24/7 location data, timestamp, trigger pulls, safeties coded to owner biometrics. For the past 3 decades, tags have made shooting crimes very unambiguous. So you're claiming my client used some kind of antique to commit these crimes. How else do you think he'd have gotten away with this 5 other times? If he'd tried to buy a gun legit, he'd probably fail the very first psych check. And even jailbroken pieces are only good for so long before update withdrawal sets in. So then, M54, that's model year 2054. A 30-year-old gun. Well, that sure complicates things, doesn't it? In some ways, sure. But pre-tagging firearms are rare. Gotta be less than 1,000 of them left in the whole country, and fewer still compatible bullets. The ammunition would have to be over 30 years old too. The novelty of this weapon has kept us in the dark so far. But now that we have our hands on it, it's gonna put them away for good. Archive department complained loud as hell about how deep they had to dig. But with the protocols they found, the techs were able to match the rifling marks on all 6 bullets to the gun your client was found with. Rifling marks? Bullets fired from guns that old are marked by the barrel's shape. So, if all 6 bullets had the same rifling marks, we know that they were fired by the same gun. It's not as plug and play as tags are, but it's equally precise science, I assure you. And if that's not damning enough, the spent casings from the other 5 shootings were still in the chamber, without even needing to reload. The caliber your client was found with is the gun HK used to kill all 6 women. No way to lawyer around that. An untagged gun. Just being anywhere near a weapon like that could warrant your arrest. Being found by the police over a dead body with an untagged gun used at 5 other crime scenes is just. To summarize, then, you believe that my client fought verbally, then physically with his girlfriend. And then he retrieved this weapon and shot her? Yeah, pretty much. How did he look when the officers found him? Guilty. How is that an affect? Or how was his affect? Quiet, detached, stiff. Not exactly the picture of a grieving partner. That reaction may have lost some points with the cops, but beyond that, people react to loss in all kinds of unusual ways. And so long as the police are suspicious of you, there's no way to grieve. Thanks for that, detectives. I think I understand the background well enough now. Candidly, I see the same strokes you do, and the picture it paints isn't pleasant. But even so, it seems a bit unrefined to be brought before a judge, don't you think? Hey, it's only our job to catch the bastard. The DA is the one who gets the conviction. Besides, we're not exactly going to work hard to convince anyone of his guilt. And why is that? Because we found a handwritten confession at his desk. Okay, that's bad. Well, that's, unexpected. I'm sorry, you're now telling me that he wrote a confession? Has it been verified? Not yet. We have to muscle past everyone in fraud and disinfo to get to the front of the line, or that line. Why bother? The note's covered in his fingerprints. There's a copy in the discovery data, but I should warn you, it doesn't exactly make for light reading. I'll have to manage somehow. I need to see this confession for myself. Ugh. Doing the gravelly noir voice is killing me here. Sorry for everything. Can't say it enough. Didn't mean to hurt you or do what I did. Did not want any of it to happen. Can't stay in control when I get mad. When I'm not in control, I hurt people without meaning to. Wish I hadn't broken them. Didn't mean to at first, but I was hurting. wanted you to hurt, too, but didn't want to hurt you. Words aren't enough, I know that now. I'll take responsibility and do what I've been avoiding. Please forgive me. This does not read as a confession. This reads as a suicide note. Like, this is not a confession. This is something very different. Like, at no point does it say, I'm sorry I shot you. This is a note that he came back, left at somebody's desk for them to find later. Okay. That was difficult to read. Barely legible, in fact. Well, got a spin on that? No need. But it's a confession. Not a confession that he signed, though, is it? Not yet. And not one he intends to sign anytime soon, considering that he asked for representation. Yeah, the most wanted man in the city asked for a lawyer, and got you. Guess you're both lucky. Hardly. I just happened to be awake when the call went out. But I'm not so flush with work that I can afford to turn tail now. So, if you don't mind, I'd like to go and speak with my client. What? He's not still handcuffed in there, is he? Look, counselor, with all due respect, we have strong evidence pointing to that man being responsible for 6 murders. 2 hours or so in, cuffs isn't cruel or unusual. And that's for your safety as well. It's kind of you to worry, but I doubt I'll be in any danger. He's killed 6 women. None of them were redheads. Seriously, though, I'd like to speak with him alone now. Camera's off, if you don't mind. Mic's on or off is your call, though. Is your call, counselor. But we'll be watching the feed from right outside in case anything happens. And the cuffs? The cuff, that is, stays on. That worried about me? How chivalrous. Yeah, my armor's practically blinding. Gross. I'll start up the unlock cycle. Counselor, just one last word of advice. If you have any interest in his well-being, I'd suggest you help him sign that confession. Not a bad idea. I do get paid either way. But the defense part of defense attorney isn't just for show, detective. I mean it. 6 people dead is one thing, but he's also caused weeks of widespread terror and public unrest. Putting it another way, he's made the state look bad. That's a capital crime if ever there was one. And even if the death penalty's not actually on the table these days, I can guarantee he's not gonna like whatever rehabilitation plan they draw up for him. Look, I've seen the virtual work release program in person, and it's being challenged before the Supreme Court. Yeah, sometime in the next decade, maybe. Just remember, a plea deal might feel like a loss for you, but if it keeps him from, well, that's probably a win for your client, right? Prison sentences are generally lighter for those who plead guilty, that much is true. It saves the court a great deal of time and money, and they show their gratitude with the reduced sentencing. But no one will ever be grateful towards the Heartbreak Killer. Anyone convicted for killing 6 people, they'll never rest their mind at another day of their life. In the narrative here, I think London is trying to be the good cop, quote unquote. Like, I do genuinely think he sees this as a mercy. Not quite what I was expecting, but okay, here we are. It's depressing as hell in here. You need to liven this place up. Carlos flat, right? Hope you don't mind if I get comfortable. We've got a lot to cover. But this shouldn't take all night. What are you... Look, I already told you people, I'm not a cop, Carlos. Furthest thing from it. I'm a lawyer. You're a lawyer, in fact. And I'm here to help you. Yeah, well, they said that too. All of them did. Back there, in here, kept repeating it like the whole ride, or kept repeating it the whole ride over. They said that they were going to help me, that they knew this was all a mistake. And they said I killed, acting like they were on my side and they thought that I could have, It's not their job to help you, Carlos. But it is mine, and I'm here now. Some of this art style is mad familiar for some reason now that I've seen Carlos. I know what you mean. It honestly kind of reminds me of Hades, with the way the colors are used and everything. Like a noir comic book version of Hades. He's still in shock. I need more information, but if I approach this the wrong way, he'll just clam up even more. I'm sure you're exhausted. It's probably difficult to think, let alone speak. But I'd like you to try to answer a few questions. The police already questioned you, I'm sure. But they were treating you as a suspect, not as a client. Okay. So, what do you want to know? Let's start simple. Something mundane, grounded, rope. I'd like to know a bit more about you first, Carlos. JYB did an interview and said that Audio's trying to get Ruben and Dan to go do voices in Netflix. Oh, God. Good fucking luck on the Ruben part, because he's effectively been blacklisted by Capcom, and rightfully so. Dan, I don't see having any interest in this, to be perfectly honest. And just, oh God. That sucks to hear. But also, Rosa, Cyberpunk Ace Attorney. You should probably show John this. Like, hot redhead in a noir suit, like in a cyberpunk setting at that. Like, this seems like John's cup of tea right here. Hit him in 45 minutes. Good. Something like, what line of work are you in? I'm with city engineering. Or I was, or I should be. As I thought. The police must be convinced he mapped the optics blackouts using data he stole from work. My arm, I got it slotted for the job. And, Carlos, I'm gonna need more than that. So, what do I do now? What do I... No. No, that's not true, Nix. There was a Madhouse anime back in 2007. What do I know? Very little. He works in city engineering, not a desk job. I mean, so is the Netflix thing. Like, if Castlevania is an anime, so is Netflix May Cry. Like, It's anime. You're an anime. Reyes said he was modded for work, and that arm must be in custody at the moment, but based on his shoulder, it'd have to be pretty... What did they say about, the arm? Let's see. Core class shards face. Let's know. Suspect's prosthetic. Yeah, that does not look lifelike. So, pretty utilitarian. Utilitarian, yeah. He doesn't strike me as the type who's enamored with the aesthetics of modding. The young and the restless and the rich swapping in neon and chrome limbs because they like the way it looks. Or the way it makes other people start looking at them. No, he's pragmatic, grounded, and very unlucky. In which case, I should be too. Okay, Nick's counterpoint, Avatar: The Last Airbender. And Rosa, I'm going to fix that at some point. You know, my brother wanted to mod. Really? Really? I don't even have a brother. He had everything planned out, a whole career path of promotions and bonuses and upgrades they'd afford him. Then came his 18th birthday present, test results politely informing him that he's not a viable candidate. Well, that sucks. I think he felt relieved, actually. Seemed like it was a weight off his chest. Like he was glad that he didn't have to choose. Does that make any sense? Yeah, I think it does. I always figured if I'd start at all, I'd start small. A hand or an eye, test the water. Never thought about lobbing my whole damn arm off. But the recruiter was enthusiastic. He said, because of the NCDA, there was a financial aid and resources. Wait, hold on. I just realized something. If he's got the prosthetic, why did the victim have the pill organizer? Like, especially with the drug that they were specifically talking about reducing symptoms of rejection. Like phantom pain and shit. Because of the NCDA, there was financial aid, resources. Of course, that got shit-canned now. So now me and every other modder is royally screwed. Couldn't even let me keep the tax credit. The new Citizens with Disabilities Act was amended, not repealed. But I doubt he'd appreciate the distinction at the moment. I worked the tighter spaces, high-volt environments, mostly canopy upkeep. Typical stuff for modders, you know? He's speaking freely now. Don't need to do much more than repeat his words back to him and keep him talking. But the right word choice here or there can still make a difference. You work on the canopy. Must be under a lot of pressure. Must be under a lot of pressure now that the subways are cordoned off. Damn straight. And this crap with Long? Once word got out the case against him was real, every desk job in the chain became terrified of their own shadow. All of them convinced Internal Affairs is gonna come knocking if they misplace so much as a paperclip. Everything by the book means no room for compromise, no room for problem solving, no room for engineering? Yeah. And no patience for screw-ups. He's trying very hard not to look at his shoulder. Why aren't you wearing your prosthetic now, Carlos? Yeah, that. Rejection issues starting last month. A lot of sleepless nights. Rejection? Did the therapy not take? It's not like that. I wasn't oozing pus out of my sockets or anything. Then do these rejection issues have anything to do with your scars? Not in the way you're thinking. I'm right-handed. Well, he's definitely not the shooter then. Because if he was right-handed and his right arm is gone, how the fuck was he shooting people with such pinpoint accuracy that he did 5 shots, 1 bullet through the heart? And yeah, apparently they cut off his dominant hand. Like, he is not getting that accuracy out of his left hand if he's right-handed. So those cuts on his face are just from shaving? Never thought this would go on so long I'd have to relearn how to do everything. I mean, the problem started small, trembling, but then spasms. Just oversensitivity, they said. An easy fix. But the problem got bigger. Couldn't let it get that far. Need to be able to trust your own hands when you're on the job site. Drop a cutter at the wrong moment and people could get hurt. So I sat down, made an appointment, turned in my arm, and watched my case get placed at the back of the damn line. Where did you turn it in? Some mass turnaround chop shop with a waiting list like you wouldn't. It doesn't sound like you're a happy customer. Hell no! I'd found a dozen other clinics with shorter wait times. But as long as I'm renting and not owning, manufacturer decides where your arm gets maintenance. So he doesn't even have ownership of that. God damn. And yes, and this explains why the handwritten note was so fucking hard to read. And that's why I'm sitting here with this expensive ass stump for a shoulder. I haven't been able to work in weeks. Bosses were generous enough to say my position might still be there when I've got 2 working arms again. You couldn't buy or rent a replacement yourself just in the meantime? I serve at the pleasure of the state. And they've got exclusivity contracts with Hindi, all locked up white knuckle tight. Hindi? How Industries? As I recall, he's registered with one of their Habilis models. Showing results for How Industries. How Industries in the world leader in research, development, manufacturing, and fitting of cybernetic prosthetics for commercial use and private use. Okay. I just scratched an itch on my head, and I think I've got a bug bite up there. God damn it. If I took one step on site with uninsured tech, forget the fines, I'd lose the down payment and my arm. I'd never work in this city again. If this was last quarter, maybe I could have worked something out with management, but like I said, no one's sticking their neck out for anyone now that Long's in deep hot shit. You mentioned discomfort. Are you in pain? Pain will come and go. It itches it's the itches that'll kill you. And the phantoms come back pretty fast when I don't have anything. Arm shaped attached to me. Didn't they give you something to, wear in the meantime? something the clinics lend out for cases like this? What they gave me is a dead weight, 3-jointed landfill bait piece of shit. Sorry, it's just every shitty feeling having a part of your body that you know they cut corners on. It fits, it's compatible, technically. I can slot it in and feel on balance again. But the fingers don't even bend, and the quick twitch motors are way off. It's like walking around with your arm asleep or dead. So you were wearing it when you were arrested. I'm gonna say that. Were you wearing it when you were arrested? No, I wasn't. But I'm pretty sure I saw the police bagging it as evidence, so can't have gotten too far. So Detective Reyes was being quite literal about how he was found. He had the victim's blood on his left arm only, because at the time in question, he didn't even have a right. No inconsistencies in the story so far, and he's opened up about as well as can be expected. But this has all just been a warm-up for the both of us. Now comes the delicate part. Carlos, you and the victim were romantically involved. How long did you two know each other? Right. I've known her since college. We shared a few classes, some mutual friends. Always got along. Eventually, we just got together at some point. Guess I never actually asked her out the real formal way. Sounds pretty cowardly saying that out loud. Diane, she was in genetics. Focused her studies on agriculture. It always takes them a few tries to get used to using the past tense. Just finished her post-grad work this year. Got hired right out of the gate, practically headhunted, would you believe that? Practically headhunted. Of course she was. Any company'd be lucky to have her, unlike... It was a real-ass job, paid real-ass money, too. So her career was starting to pan out. Right as yours had fallen into the mother of all slumps. Where was she hired? Pedigree? No, Peregree Laboratories. I say that like the name matters. The whole setup's under Harco's umbrella. That doesn't narrow it down. The Harvest Corporation grows a third of the soybeans and corn in the entire country. One client that size, the lab wouldn't need any others. No corporation earns the mega prefix without a little throat cutting, but Harco is about as tame as big business can get. Predictable like the seasons. No one's gonna buy that they had some lab tech murdered because of corporate greed. Had she adjusted well to her new job? Yeah, they loved having her there. She never mentioned arguments or disputes, corporate politics getting rough? I don't think so. Not like I've been a good listener lately. But I never got the impression that she... Look, no one I know could have done this to her. And there's nothing she could have done that would deserve what happened to her. It was a long shot hoping for a disgruntled character from her past to shift blame onto. With no other suspects, I can't just reshuffle the detective's suspicions. I'll have to disprove their argument entirely. Thank you, Carlos. That was very helpful. It was? Now, I'd like you to try and tell me whatever you can about what happened tonight. Oh. Start at the beginning and take your time. The details are important. Alright, Miss, Morgan. I'll try, Morgan. When you're ready. We were arguing. We had been arguing a lot lately. Arguing about stupid stuff. I haven't been working. Haven't been making money. Haven't been pulling my weight. I was mad at myself. But more than that, I was jealous of her. Jealous over nothing. Jealous over goddamn money. The reports say you were arguing around 8 p.m.? 8? Yeah, must have been when we started. We got into it and I said a lot of things that I shouldn't have. And I said one thing that I really shouldn't have. I crossed a line and we both knew it, so I left. You left? Yeah. Walked out the front door. Thought some fresh air might help cool me off. Help me figure out what to say to make it up to her. Of course, the air wasn't fresh, just humid, thick like mud. Is that why the front door was open? It wasn't why the front door was open, I feel like. But at the same time, it's not why the front door was open. And while I was pissing away the time, Diane was. Did you bring your phone with you, or any other electronics? No. I kinda stormed off, didn't even take my key fobs. Didn't even lock the door behind me. With optics down, traffic and street-level cameras won't help them. That leaves... Did you go through a checkpoint or talk to anyone with modded eyes? Do you buy anything, cash or credit? No, not even a vending machine. Not even a damn vending machine, huh? I may have met my match. How can anyone be this unlucky? That's quite unfortunate. I just wanted quiet at the time. Wanted to wallow in it, really. Sorry if I don't have all the details quite right. My head is... But if my exact route would help, the cams probably... What? What is it? Optics was what? Can that even happen? And there's no other proof that you were out at the time Diane was killed. Meaning you've got no alibi. This can't... Listen, I didn't do this. I couldn't... Carlos, I'm the one person you don't have to try and convince. After all, I'm your lawyer. So let's just get it all out there and see what we've got to work with. Right. Now, you said you left to clear your head. So, what made you come back? Came back because I heard a noise. A loud noise. Didn't know what it was. But it was loud, and it scared me. And it came from the direction of our apartment. Like, okay. Just... Is there anything that says how old he is? Student debt sizable, luck poor. Wow. It doesn't say how old he is, but I'm guessing if his girlfriend was just finishing grad work, I'm guessing like late 20s at the absolute oldest. And if a gun like the revolver is considered an antique at 30, I can absolutely believe he didn't even know what a gunshot sounded like. Not an old gunpowder gun, at least. I was walking back at first. But at some point I must have started running because when I got back I was so out of breath. And when I saw that the front door was open, something dropped in my chest. My lungs wouldn't... You live on the first floor, right? Yeah. First floor apartment, street facing entrance. We were proud of that when we first moved in. So, technically, the shot didn't even need to come from inside the building. If the front door was open, street facing entrance, anybody could have seen in, and if they had the line of shot, taken the shot. Line of sight, rather. Doesn't explain walking in, putting the gun down, and walking off, but, you know, there's that at least. Like it was some kind of big deal. From the hallway I saw her, but I didn't realize. Never thought she was... The lights were off, the whole room was a mess. I thought we had been robbed, or she had fallen, or there was broken glass, furniture was knocked over. Okay, so that didn't come from the argument. That's important. So, but that does put the killer in the apartment, though. And she was... I called her name, and she didn't move. I checked her pulse. She was still warm. Her blood was still warm. I saw a gun. It looked so heavy, but I thought it had to be fake because I didn't want it to be real. Is that why you picked it up? What? Pick it up? I didn't touch that thing. I didn't shoot her, damn it. Doing what I do, you hear a lot of lies. White lies, blatant lies, hasty lies. Bad lies, especially. For me, it's always been easy to spot a lie. But it can be hard to know what to do about it. I have all the proof I need in my files, but he's nervous and defensive. And none of this works if he doesn't trust me. Okay. Stay up to date on the details of all evidence by checking your phone. If your clients notice that you don't know what you're talking about, they'll stop giving you any credit. You did touch the gun, Carlos. That's just a fact because of your prints. Had fingerprints on it. That said, I do want to check the gun just to make sure nothing has updated that I missed. See. M54, 6 chamber, 10 millimeter. There's fingerprints matching Carlos. Matching Carlos backer Flat's left hand. So, yeah. Rifling marks match the bullet with, which pierced the victim with 99.97% certainty. Rifling marks match the bullets from previous Heartbreak killings with 99.98 to 99.989% certainty. No matches to any other archive forensic data as far back as 2051. Okay. It's a fact that your fingerprints are on that gun. What? But I didn't do this. I wasn't thinking. I was just... Carlos. All I'm saying is that you picked it up. That's all. You believe me if I said I didn't realize it was a gun? That explains how his prints got on the gun. But not in a way that would satisfy the police. Still, if all he did was hold the gun... Stupid. I know what a gun looks like. But seeing it in my own home, right in front of... You were in shock, Carlos. You still are. The police came in sometime after that. I don't remember much of what they said. Things started moving fast. It seemed like the rest of my night went probably the way you'd expect. And what's that, Nix? Carlos, you admit to having a verbal argument with Diane, but you said you were surprised to see the room trashed when you got back. Clarify. You're saying that you two never had a physical fight. What? Physical? We never fought like that. Did the police say that we did? They assumed as much. Killer didn't even need to open the door to get in. They could have opened the door to... They could only have opened the door to leave in a hurry. Pull back count. Yes, that is a good point, and I intend to bring it up if the game lets me. at the same time, it is definitely a point where that I don't think is like inconsistent if the cops are not dealing with like actual gunpowder in these things, that they would miss that. And Nix, that's assuming that they closed the door behind them at all. Like, my guess is that when Carlos opened the door to leave, it stayed open until the cops got there. So the broken glass came from the mirror. Like, is there a way to bring back the... Yeah, no, so... The glass came from the mirror, which was already in there. Guns, odds are good. They'd have seen at least something about blowback. No, that's fine, Nix. That's fine. That's why I'm kind of coming back to it. Like, oh, here, like the glass shards here. Pieces of glass from a broken standing mirror. Yeah, so. Okay, but at the same time, if you're not, familiar with this sort of thing, and like this is a whole lifetime after gunpowder has been obsolete, also they are underfunded and under pressure to get a conviction. So like, I'm not expecting their police work to be foolproof. And in fact, I'm going to use that, so. Also, give me 1 second. It is getting hot in here. Which means they also assumed the room was disheveled well before the shooting occurred. Considering what Carlos has told me, what else did they assume? What is it? I'd like you to take a look at something for me at the crime scene. Oh, this is an AR module built from data taken as the police entered, so... Right, it's just that... It's just data, Carlos. No grisly details. Okay. Let me see it. Take your time. Alright, I think I've got it. That's how the police found things. Now close your eyes and think back to how the room looked when you left. Try to focus on what's out of place. Alright. I'll take notes. You just say whatever comes to mind. I don't remember exactly where everything was. But, well, the mirror was upright, of course. And the clock was still on the wall. The chair got knocked over at some point, and the bed got tossed. The cushions torn, and the urn fell. Other than that... Oh, sorry, that's all that stands out to me. I see. Like so? Morgan, you are a bad artist. What's wrong? Something out of place? Carlos, you need to trust your instinct. If anything seems off, don't be afraid to speak up. It's just, I guess I just assumed your notes would be making edits to the AR. Well, I suppose that works too. She tried. Yup. Archival person who dug up the file and gun may not have known about the blowback gunpowder residue too, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean... I think your drawing was pretty good, considering. I'd like to change the subject now, Carlos. Right. Let's talk about the letter that was found on your desk. Letter? What do you mean? I mean, this letter here. Do you recognize it? Because the police are calling it a confession. A confession? But this is just a note to self. Pardon? Look, when we fight, I lose my temper, say things I don't mean to. So, this morning I tried writing things down so I'd have a script to stick to. So I could apologize to her instead of just fighting with her. Carlos, you say in the note that you hurt them. I broke her fidget tubbies. I'm sorry, a what? Her what? Her what? Her fidget tubbies. I was not at all expecting the fucking anime music. They're these collectible ceramic character things. They're supposed to be like tactile. Use them as paperweights or conversation starters. Excuse me, I had a burp. Conversation starters. She loved those little things. They're not worth a damn. You can buy them at any flea market or garage sale, but they meant a lot to her. And I broke them. I mean, I was pissy at the time, but that goddamn piece of shit rental arm, I hardly know where I'm swinging it half the time. Got so angry I just ripped it off and tossed it in my room. That cheap, dusty, worthless... Okay, let's say he did break her frigid duckies with his replacement arm. Fridge a duckies. Okay. What does that change? Nothing at the moment. There's not enough detail in the note for me to prove what his intent was when he sat down to write it. But if the police insist on claiming it's a confession for the Heartbreak killings anyway... Couldn't even bother to sweep them up. Oh, wait, no, that's flat. Blah, 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 blah. Couldn't even bother to sweep them up. I felt so... Alright, Carlos, thanks for answering my questions. God, what is wrong with my tongue all of a sudden? Now, I'm going to call the police back in here, and I'm going to get this cleared up for you. What? That's it? That's it? Oh, okay. Although, before I do that, I have to ask, what do you know about the Heartbreak killer? A heartbreak? You mean that psycho that was trending all month? I mean, as much as anyone, I guess? I haven't been getting out much, but I'm sure everybody's on edge. A guy like that out there? He shoots people through the heart, right? The police have kept the victim's appearances far away from any upstanding news sources. So unless he was already following the murders, Carlos wouldn't notice any resemblance to his girlfriend. I mean, she was shot in the chest, but that doesn't mean anything, does it? If he's this slow on the uptake, it's gonna be a real shock when those officers walk in here and accuse him of being a serial killer. I'll just have to squash that theory as quickly and definitively as possible. I didn't realize you could smoke in here. Technically, I can smoke wherever I want. For a fee. I guess so. Nervous? Don't be. I'm the one who's on the clock. Right. I'm sure this isn't your first time doing this. No, of course not. It will be my first homicide defense, though. Oh. Why does everyone always think that the first time's so goddamn important? Hey, cheer up. I've got relevant experience in other areas. Oh. And, what areas are those? You ever gamble, Carlos? No, ma'am. I never go anywhere near loot boxes. Won't touch the stuff. I meant more like playing cards. Oh, well then, no to that too. I've actually got pretty terrible luck. Could have fooled me. Well, what I do is a lot like poker, Carlos. Poker's nice, because even if you're dealt nothing but crap all night long, you can still win. Which makes things pretty fun. Okay, so, do you have a good poker face? I like to think so. And are you lucky? Only when the stakes are high. And, in this metaphor, we're playing poker. And the state's the dealer? If only. No, the state's more like the house. You mean like the house always wins? Yes. They're very good at it. Winning, I mean. That's why they're up there and we're down here. That's why they're the house. So what do? We play the cards we're dealt as best we can. Win more hands than we lose. Keep it up, and eventually someone will come over, tap the dealer on the shoulder, whisper something in their ear, and then we'll be politely asked to leave. That doesn't sound very triumphant. The house always wins. So our definition of victory is more like, don't lose. Thanks, Morgan. But I guess I was more asking, like, what should I say? Just leave all the talking to me. So that's the strategy. What's up? You know, there's a saying about gamblers with strategies. Yo, ready to confess yet? Because I already woke up the DA. Already? She must be new. The district attorneys have final say on whether or not a case is brought to trial. Only fair, since they're the ones who end up having to actually prove the damn thing. Most of them prefer simple guilty pleas over long, protracted trials. And they all dislike having their time wasted. Unfortunately, then, you'll have to call them back. Because my client is not guilty. And frankly, I'm not even sure you have enough to hold him here. Right. What she said. You've got a weird sense of humor, counselor. Different generations, I guess. Before my time kind of thing. I'm very serious when it comes to defending a man's innocence, detective. Counselor, we have your client's written confession. His written confession. Let's start there. Okay, we'll be happy to. The thrust of every argument starts with the facts, what's already known and agreed upon. Public knowledge for every player at the table. It's pretty simple, counselor. Real paint-by-number stuff. See, we found a note at his apartment. With his fingerprints on it. Apologizing for how he hurt them all so bad. Now, how are you planning on spinning that? Those are the facts. But I've been building up my hand all night. And now I've got the weapons to answer anything they try to throw at me. Well, my client did write that note, and it was an apology. But not for murder. I cry.
Hello.
He was apologizing for... Okay, analyze the facts as they're laid out, then thumb through your responses in your hand. Drag and drop the card that best answers the argument into the slot on the right.
How you liking it so far, by the way, Cody?
So far, it's good. Even if I did make Morgan's internal monologue an old-timey smoker noir detective guy.
She is a smoker.
Yes, but, like, it is... Like, think Steve Bloom voice internally, and, like, Terra Platt, outwardly. Also,
Yeah,
thank you for the sub.
81 months is a long time. That's
It
81
is.
months in a row, by the way.
Yes.
The things I do for you.
I appreciate it. And mouse over your opponent's portrait for a reminder on what key point you're answering. Ceramic crap. Yeah, the debris, yes. He was simply apologizing for this. The hell is that? I found myself asking the same exact question. What are we looking at here? Something from the crime scene? This is a diagram of the room. It's created from the data you captured, right? Your non-GMO augmented reality crime scene data, yeah. What's non-GMO? Not much these days. Notice anything out of place? Yeah, the whole room's full of busted shit. It's the scene of a murder. Full of busted shit, for sure. But I was more referring to the unidentified ceramic debris found on the western side of the room. London looks way too much like Constantine.
Good job in finding that, by the way.
Yes.
Not everyone does.
I also found the pill, I don't know if I was supposed to find it, but I found the pill box thing, like, way before it prompted me to.
Yeah.
The hell is that? Ceramic debris, huh? Must be from the vase that got tossed. Actually, that's not possible. Oh? Because that vase wasn't damaged. It's not possible for the debris to have come from the vase, because that vase is still pristine. How is that possible? The lady at the garage sale told me it was so old and delicate. Damn it, the one time I tried a thrift shop on my own. Well, so what? What does that even matter? If the vase doesn't have a scratch on it, then the debris must have come from somewhere else. That debris is what my client wrote that apology over.
And just to make sure, Cody, because I only just got here, you have been looking at the profiles for everyone, right?
Yes, most everyone. The only profile I haven't really looked at is Rhea's, but
fair enough.
I have noticed, like, the bottom three things changes per person, and even updates and changes as you learn stuff about people.
Yeah, they're pretty cool, aren't they?
Yep.
They even have one for the Heartbreak Killer.
Yep, I noticed that.
Yeah.
Likes killing, dislikes getting caught. Favorite color? Probably red. You're saying that confession was his apology for not vacuuming? I am. Because that pile of rubble is all that remains of the victim's collection of fidget tubbies. What he said. Mr. Flat broke the victim's ceramic figures by accident. And the impassioned note to himself was just his attempt at scripting out an apology. Can you prove that? We're taking this seriously? As much as I wish we weren't. We're all in agreement that my client wrote that note. And we can all plainly see that there's ceramic debris at the crime scene. Now, since it couldn't have come from the vase, it must have come from the collectibles. Those things! Simple, right? The hell are you on about? The entire room was trashed, as the arcs clearly shows. Those fidget tubbies must have gotten pulverized during the struggle too. You really gonna claim that he sat down to write an apology for breaking her toys after gunning her down? Not a bad train of thought, but I can do better. No, those collectibles were destroyed much earlier than that, and there's proof. Yeah, the rental arm. It would have had the, some kind of trace forensics on it. Yeah. Just take a closer look at the rental you took into custody. Huh?
I also love how Morgan's eyes change when she has an internal monologue.
Yup.
It's a nice signifier.
Yup. One swipe of your finger should show you exactly how devastating it was to the fickle buddy ecosystem. It's fidget tubbies. Whatever. You did take it into custody. I'm sure your techs found ceramic debris on it, yes? Now that you mention it. Fine, whatever. He broke him with his arm. While he was killing her. Happy? Overjoyed, because even a cheap arm's got an operating system that had logged the last time it was worn, right? Right. See, I happened to spot a footnote on the lab report that said that the rental hadn't been used since the AM. Whose side are you on, old man? Gotten pretty late, sunshine. Just trying to save us all some time where I can. Well, thank you for your service. Well, thank you for your service. Are you seriously buying this crap? Just look at how scrawled, how panicked that note is. You expect me to believe that he was that upset over a fidget tubby collection? One that hasn't even been graded? Setting aside Detective Reyes' surprising depth of knowledge on when it comes to collectibles. You're correct. They had no real monetary value. It would be odd for Carlos to be so shaken over their loss. But so what? So what? After all, that's not panic you're seeing on that page. How the hell would she know about it? Because she's a dirty nerd. Now, the only reason that note looks the way it does is because Carlos is right-handed. Because Carlos is right-handed. Yes, I am. Did they not know that? Shouldn't that be on my permanent record or something? So the reason why that looks like asylum wall scribbles is just because he had to use his left hand to write it. I tend to think better writing than typing. Is a huge nerd. Yes. And I need to get used to using my left anyway. Just thought it could be good practice. Taking that into account alongside the ceramics. Your slam dunk confession is looking about as watertight as a fishnet. Okay, fine, forget about the confession. Congratulations, counselor. You've established that your client's remorseless. Now, let's get back to the reality of the situation. Here are the facts. We found your client at the scene of the crime, wearing a coat covered in the victim's blood, right next to a big old goddamn gun that just so happens to have his fingerprints on it. That's right. That's right, the coat is... What, you gonna claim it's not his? That he actually wears an extra small? She's trying to bait me, in her typical low-key fashion. As the arguments flow, you won't always have the stronger hand. Sometimes the best you can do is hold your tongue and avoid overcommitting. Try to lose as little credit as possible while you wait for a more favorable chance. She must have something. No sense playing into it. Something you'd like to ask me, detective? I'm just curious, what'll it be next? You gonna tell me he actually wears an extra small? No. He doesn't wear an extra small, no. Gee, Carlos, do you? No. Yeah, sure, there'd be no evil twin you've forgotten to mention. There's no evil twin. No, I'm afraid not. Not even gonna go for a mysterious third party at the scene of the crime? To prove his innocence, I will need to get there eventually. But going there now without hard evidence. I have no evidence of a third person at this time. Damn right you don't. It's clear as day, it's clear as day in the arcs. No evidence of anyone but Carlos being there that night. So keep dreaming. It was obvious she had something there. I wasn't gonna win that hand either way. But at least I didn't overstep and make any more take any more damage than I had to. We're not contesting any of that, Detective. My client freely admits to holding that gun. He picked it up in confusion after coming home to find a brutal crime scene. Which was not smart. Hey. But not illegal either. And that's all. He had her blood all over his clothes. Yes, he did. Right. You have those clothes on hand, by the way. The lab finished with them a while ago. What are you getting at? What are you getting at? It'll be easier to just show you. Would you mind getting them for me? You know what? Sure, I could use the fresh air. Thinks of bullshit in here anyway. Here, I thought this room smelled like... Morgan, what are you doing? My coat's covered in her blood. I remember that much. So doesn't that, like, make me look really bad? Just relax, Carlos. I'm pretty sure that's impossible. You're innocent. And that means that having more evidence will always help you, not hurt you. Really? Really. Not really. Plenty of innocent people in prison. People with bad luck. Or bad lawyers. People who shouldn't count on the truth to come out easy. More often than not, it takes coaxing. What was it that it reminded me of? Alright, here it is. One blood-stained jacket, fresh from the lab. Alright. Go over this. The coat on the suspect was wearing taken into custody back from analysis. Blood on the sleeve matches that of the victim with 99.989% certainty. No other details of any forensic significance found. That's our smoking gun, as it were.
Literally. No, I'm not tipping him off, Chad. I actually use this as an example when I was pitching the game.
Yeah, I already mentioned that. Yeah. So what's your angle? You gonna tell us that this is actually just hot sauce? No. That would be silly. He actually thought it over. So what the hell's your point? Hey. Sorry, I just got thrown off by the turn of good fortune. What good fortune? You should thank the detective for bringing your jacket, Carlos. She's just proven your innocence. My client was arrested wearing this coat. He would have been wearing it at the time of the murder. It has the victim's blood on it, who we know died when she was shot in the heart. By a gun that happens to be an old world pre-tagging firearm. And so this coat proves that he couldn't have been the shooter. Is there a gas leak in here? In what world does that make any sense? Sense happens to be key here. I just need to draw their attention to what they can. Okay. So here's the thing. I don't know how gunpowder feels, and I know you can't see it. So I'm assuming it's the smell thing, because you smelled the gunpowder.
Gunpowder is such a sharp smell, oh my god.
Admittedly... Yep.
I have been to a shooting range once and hit targets. It was a lot of fun.
I have as well, but that's been like over 20 years ago. And my sense of smell has been shit anyway because of my sinuses, but yeah. Just do me one favor, detective. Tell me what you smell. I don't smell anything except dried blood. Exactly. The coat smells like blood, but it doesn't smell of cigarette. That's what I've been smelling. Yes, detective. I was smoking earlier. Could you rejoin the conversation? I've been listening. You wanted me to smell the jacket? If you would. Let's see. Huh. No gunpowder. What? What about gunpowder? Oh, don't blame yourself for not noticing. This was before your time. You can't be more than a few years older than me. But not before your partners, it seems. See, gunpowder's weak by today's standards, but it's still volatile stuff. Hard to store, prone to misfiring. And when it goes bang, it leaves an awful lot of evidence. The hell is she talking about, London? Modern firearms like the ones we carry use electricity, magnetism, even air pressure or sound waves. They've got more accuracy, more firepower, less recoil, less noise, and they don't leave behind any residue. Gunpowder residue? You talked my ear off about how difficult it is tracking down a gun that doesn't have digital traces. But a revolver like this one? It'd leave gunpowder on the skin of whoever fired it for days. So, then his coat, if you don't trust your noses, you can check the lab reports. I think if they found any gunpowder on my client or his clothes, they'd have taken the time to highlight it. Well, whatever. That just means he washed off or after shooting her, he changed his clothes. That's not impossible. But it would be pretty pointless. Huh? His jacket and his left hand were blood-soaked when your officers found him. Would he really go through all the effort to get rid of something as subtle as gunpowder residue, just to go and get the victim's blood all over himself afterwards? In light of these details, I'd like to formally request that you reconsider the charges Mr. Flatt is facing. As soon as possible. Whoa. They're faltering now. Should topple over at any moment. The letter was mostly icing on the cake for them. But that gun is all they had to link Carlos to any of the shootings. So if it looks like he never actually fired the gun, I'll admit things were a little dicey there at times. But once I was able to grasp the situation, the smaller pieces fell into place easily enough. Not my cleanest work by far, but overall I'd say. Did she get the message? Did she get a message? Man. Wait, did they actually manage to find it? Something you'd like to share, Detective Reyes? You're good. You're good. Twisting the truth into knots, making the facts work for you. Thanks? But your luck just ran out. Because the net scrubbers found a cam active at the exact moment of the shooting. And right now, I'm staring at a photo of the killer. Want to bet? A photo of the shooter? If she had that, we wouldn't still be talking. But I doubt she's just pulling this out of her ass. She's got something from the scrubbers. See. Must have something. She must be bluffing. Oh, okay. So,
this case is really interesting in hindsight.
Yeah.
Because you know they've released like episode 1 and stuff.
Yeah. So, the cameras and everything were supposed to be out for a whole hour. So, like, the cops got there before the cameras were supposedly back up.
I don't actually remember the correct answer here.
Let me check a couple things here.
Does Reyes seem like someone who would bluff if she had nothing?
If she had nothing, no. But I'm not sure what she has is real.
She's one to jump to conclusions, but that doesn't mean she has nothing, you know?
Yeah. Time of death is 9 p.m.
This is also the tutorial case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Episode 1 is significantly harder.
Yeah. I'm probably overthinking this, considering they told me that, she wouldn't have, or she's not the type that would do something without anything, so she must have something. I'm not sure I follow,
do want to
Detective.
hear your full opinion.
So,
after this.
I'm guessing she's got a photoshopped image of something that somebody tried to submit, Didn't we establish that there was an optics blackout during the shooting? Sure there was. But this isn't from optics. Good thing I held my tongue. As I thought, the scrubbers must have managed to dig up something from outside the network. Which means... Party's over, counselor. Feast your eyes on this. Whoa. Okay, the quality is lacking. Yet there it is. They managed to find a quarter needle of evidence in a whole city block of haystacks. What are the goddamn chances? No, with the scale of their tools operate on, I guess the chances are, as always, in their favor. Alright, this isn't good, but it's a far cry from the worst case scenario I envisioned. You'd even say I got lucky, which means the stakes are... well... it's a little bit... blurry. Hey, don't look at me, I didn't take the damn thing. Technically, no one took it. Looks like at the time of shooting, a neighbor was on their phone, probably venting about how the crazy couple across the way was acting. But if their phone was on, its camera would be on. And so we managed to get this shot through the window. Where to begin? Far away, unfocused, ultra-low resolution, zoomed in, blurred, color shifted, and so compressed it looks like it's from another century. There are tools that could enhance this image any further, and I could count the pixels on one hand. And you could kiss its admissibility in court goodbye. You can't honestly claim that you can identify my client from this image. And there's no way in hell you would get this past a judge. Yeah, you're probably right, we couldn't. But I think I know a DA that could. Either way, it doesn't seem like your client's leaving this police station anytime soon. That photo. What the hell is happening to me? Think I know a DA that could? Don't be so modest, old man. We have photo evidence of a left-handed shooter standing in the hallway at the same time the whole neighborhood heard a gunshot. And who do we know had their left-hand fingerprints all over that gun? You're referring to my client. You think? We've established he wasn't wearing his modded arm at all tonight, so he must have shot with his left. Yes, and we've also established that he's weak with his left side. A left side that had no gunpowder whatsoever. Forensics will never be perfect, counselor. Sometimes we miss things. Sometimes you take a walk through the rain, and when you finally get to where you were going, you somehow end up dry. But that doesn't mean it didn't rain. All of which is to say, before judge or jury, photographic evidence outweighs a failed sniff test. Carlos is innocent. I know he is. But that photo shows a left-handed shooter. Carlos is innocent. That photo is real. If both are true, then that means that photo doesn't show what it appears to show. So, at a loss for words? Never. I'm just so confused about one thing. Where was this photo taken from exactly? Ah, my voice. Exactly. Positional data is usually only accurate to the nearest public router. If we DN on the phone's owner and ask them where, why bother with any of that? Ballistics and common sense tells us that the perp shot from the room's doorway. The front entrance of the apartment faces to the south. There's a hallway that runs back to the bedroom. If we're looking straight at the shooter, so it's pretty obvious that this was taken from across the north window. From the north. If this is from the north, we can clearly see the... Okay, hold up, 1 second. Evidence, come here. Crime scene map. Wait, no. The fucking mirror was in the way. So either the mirror was busted up afterwards, or the camera was behind things that's reflected in the mirror, and it shows a right-handed shooter. Yeah.
Do you remember what Morgan said about the glass?
The glass was from the mirror on top of the body.
Yes.
So the mirror absolutely got fucked up after the murder.
And where else is there a window?
Over here. This isn't capturing my mouse. So if the mirror is in front of the north window, that makes the other window from the west, which would be facing the eastern hall.
Yeah, the other clue is that the clock on the wall isn't on the south wall, because the photo has a clock in it. So, yeah, you got it.
Okay, so yeah, it was taken from the western window and caught the image in the mirror. Okay.
But what else does that mean about the shooter?
That they are right-handed. Or at least shot with their right hand. So yeah, couldn't have been Carlos. It's not that complicated. The neighbor who got the shot must live on the other side of the street. So we're looking into the bedroom from the north window. If she's wrong, I should seize on the opportunity to start turning the tide. I'm afraid that's simply not possible, Detective. This photo has to have been taken from the west. What kind of bluff is that supposed to be? The good detectives are misinformed here, and I need to take advantage of it. Time to press the initiative. How do you mean that this was taken from the west? Autopsy tells us the victim was shot from the doorway. Your officer's ARCS data tells us the precise location of everything in the room at the time they arrived. And now your photo has shown us the exact moment of the shooting. And now raise the ante on a hand to up to the current max. Okay. Answer wrong, and you'll lose more credit. But answer correctly, and you can back up more credit for trickier hands down the line. And altogether, that tells us that this photo must have been taken through the west window. As long as you consider the mirror was upright, when her clock was on the wall, cushions were on the bed beneath. Yeah, so the statement. Just take one look at the clock in that photo. Wait, was I supposed to do something with the heart thing?
You can raise the stakes so that you get more credit, so that you have more wiggle room to make mistakes later.
I'm going to load here, and
I'm not sure there was a save that was recent.
It was, yeah, there was. It wasn't that far back. Because we're still talking about the photo here, so.
I think if you hold Alt, you'll skip.
Well.
Or Control. So you don't have to break your hand clicking.
It's not that big a deal.
No, give it a try. You'll see what I mean.
Yeah. Okay, now we're raising. Okay.
The skip button was a huge lifesaver for me.
So yeah, we're going up to max. Just take one look at the clock in that photo. The clock, what about it? The clock, huh? Seems like London's got an idea. If he's mistaken, I could pounce on it to keep my tempo high. This photo was taken right before the shooting, so... Wait, don't tell me the time of death was wrong. That's a good question, Detective London. But the answer's no. The autopsy, the clock, and the neighbors all agree the time of death was 9 p.m. Right, no mistaking that. So then what the hell were you on about? There's a clock on the wall of this photo, analog style. And it reads 9 o'clock. 9 p.m., the time of the shooting. The hell's so special about that? Nothing. There's nothing odd about the time the clock reads, but... You remember there being a clock in the room? What? Actually, I don't recall there being a clock. Makes perfect sense. You wouldn't recall seeing a clock, because when the police secured the scene, the clock had already been knocked onto the floor. And the only clock in that room is in the northeastern corner. And my client has informed me that before the crime, it was hung up on the eastern wall. Like so. What the hell is that supposed to be? An artistic rendition. It's very distinct. If you had any information on how the crime scene was before the shooting, why didn't you just add that to the ARCs? And show you my hand? Just because discovery law compels us to share info doesn't mean we have to play fair, detective. Yeah, it slipped my mind. I'll do that now. The important thing is, if the clock was on the eastern wall before the shooting occurred, then this photo must be looking through the western window to see it. Don't start getting ahead of yourself. The victim was shot at 9 p.m., the same time that this photo was taken of the shooter. But you want to claim the clock's still on the eastern wall when it should have been would have been knocked down during the fighting. That's not the fucking doorway in the photo. That's the fucking mirror. Okay. I'm seeing this now. You've got your logic backwards, detective. Your precious photo shows the room was shows that the room was pristine at the time of shooting. And there's one other piece of evidence that proves exactly how the cards fell. So, saving, just as precaution. From mirror broken at crime scene, shards fell onto the victim. But no. There we go. Glass shards? What about them? Nothing much, really. Only that they're on top of the victim's body. And not under it. If the glass fell on top of the victim's body, that would mean that she was dead on the ground before the room got trashed. But that doesn't make any sense. Why would anyone trash the room afterwards? It's a good question, Carlos. Luckily, it's the detectives who have to delve into the minds of the criminally insane, not us. Tell us, detectives, were there any signs of a struggle at the other crime scenes? Other crime scenes? Oh, nothing like that. Those attacks would have been over in a matter of seconds. So what did you think when you saw the mess in the bedroom? That this was personal and things had gotten complicated. Shit happens. Shit does happen, detective. But in this case, it seems there's been a general misconception about the order in which shit happened. So what if the room didn't get tossed over until afterwards? He still shot her. And we have a photo right here. And I'm glad you do, detective, because that photo proves my client's innocence. Proving that it wasn't my client who pulled the trigger is difficult, and maybe more importantly for all of us, time-consuming. Thanks to your photo, I can instead prove that it couldn't have been my client who pulled the trigger. Because the man in the photo can't possibly be Carlos. Like hell it can't. The glass shards prove that the room was pristine at the time of the shooting. Or, wait, that's Morgan. Ugh. Get to swap voices. And we know that until the room was tossed, that the clock was on the eastern wall. Which means that the photo of this person was taken from the west. Back to this shit? That's impossible. The only hallway that the apartment runs, or in that apartment, runs north to south. The only person with prints on that gun is your client. And the only fact that matters is that he used it to murder 6 innocent people. You're a very honest person, detective. Excuse me? That's why you're such a shitty gambler. You've played your cards too early, and now I can steal the pot right out from under you. You're right about the hallway's orientation. You're right about the prints. And this HK figure has claimed 6 lives. But we aren't looking at the hallway in that photo. What we're seeing... Another save, just in case. What we're seeing is the mirror. What is that? You trying the glass shards again? Sort of. By the way, do you recall where those shards came from? Yeah, sure, they came from a standing mirror. A mirror that, at the time of the shooting, stood across the room from the western window. But then, that would mean, at that angle, from that viewpoint, it would reflect the hallway. So we're not seeing a shooter with a gun in their left hand. We're seeing a killer take aim with their right arm. And as we all know, my client hasn't had a working right arm in a number of weeks. And he hasn't worn the rental since this morning. So I meant what I said about that photo. I'm glad that it was recovered. Because it just proved that my client couldn't possibly have committed this crime. That should be the end of it. Except it looks like Detective Reyes really is a novice gambler. Sunk cost has got its teeth in her now, clawing up her spine, whispering wounded pride in her ear. It's a cold sweat, hot palms kind of fever. The impotent, irrational fury of losing something you thought was guaranteed yours. But lucky for you, Detective, I'm well versed in shock therapy. You look dissatisfied, Detective Reyes. That's one word for it. Then allow me to put a nice bow on everything for you. In summary, my client's so-called confession was just a note to self. The police found him in shock, reeling at the death of his girlfriend, and arrested him for being next to a gun he forensically shouldn't have or couldn't have fired. After being confronted with these facts, you received photographic evidence of the exact moment of the shooting. And instead of utilizing said photo to track down the real killer, you tried to claim it depicted my client. A man without the requisite limb, standing in an architecturally impossible hallway. He could have had a backup arm. He could have stolen one. A little stubbornness can be charming, but this kind of desperation is ugly. It's getting late. Time to bare my fangs. A bit. That's the best you've got? Even a bare bones prosthetic off the black market needs to be attuned to an individual's nervous system. He'd have had to bring it to a clinic, which would have left a record on his shoulder OS. A record you won't find. And he'd still have to somehow have gotten rid of it before the police arrived. SOP at the scene of a violent crime calls for full spectrum scanning of the entire building and 100 meters around it, minimum. So where, Detective Reyes, did he manage to hide a cybernetic arm for your drones in the time between the shooting and his arrest? Well? Any objections? Detective? God damn it! Show me your hand, Flat. You're uncuffing me? In light of the evidence, we have no reason to hold you. Now I gotta go call the DA. Tell her I made a mistake. Not we made a mistake, huh? Listen, kid, you should know. Detective? I lost my train of thought. But hey, your attorney's a real tiger. She just fought like hell for you. Make sure you thank her properly. Public defense doesn't pay that well. Yeah, that's kind of you to say, Detective. But my work is its own reward. Sure. I feel exactly the same, Counselor. What happens now? I'll have to speak with the DA about the dismissal. And there's still some paperwork that we need to go through. But basically, you're free to go. Congrats! You get to leave the casino with your kneecaps intact. Yay? But what am I supposed to do? The detectives will continue their investigation. Their investigation into heartbreak, huh? Yes. When the authorities are satisfied with their examination of the body, she'll be handed over to the next of kin. And then you can make funeral arrangements. No, that's not what Diane is gone, or Diane being gone is bad enough. A serial killer? It's like if she died of the flu, doesn't happen anymore. People die of the flu all the time, but I know what you mean. I can't make sense of it. What am I supposed to do? Oh, if I know. There are some contacts I could give you. Services, professionals, doctors. No, you've done more than enough for me. When you got here, I was too tired to even defend myself. To try and convince them that I didn't. You saved me. Thank you. You're welcome, Carlos. But it's my job to... No, I mean... Thank you for not asking. For not asking if I killed her. Oh, Carlos. I didn't need to ask. I knew you were innocent from the start. Of course he was. After all... I see.
Yeah.
The blood's always different. Heart's always in the same place. Easy to find, hard to miss. But the blood's always different. A flowering stain, unfurling towards an invisible sun. A perfectly unique bloom. Only one for each of us. A Rorschach test with singular universal meaning. Vitality at its climax. Bursting forth into a red fractal consisting solely of an infinite the end. But the comical thud of a body hitting the floor has its own kind of lowbrow appeal. Bullet number 6 of 6. Gun's empty. It's useless to me now. May as well leave it. Feels like a waste, but whatever. Finding the ammo was almost enough of a hassle to outweigh the advantages. I could sell an untagged gun for a fair bit of cash, but cash can't buy you peace of mind. Oh, don't look so surprised, lady. Moping around in the dark in here, must have only been able to see my silhouette. Did she think I was her boyfriend come back for an encore of that enthralling conversation? Can't ask her now. Hey! Yeah, did you hear that? These old pieces are so goddamn loud. And people aren't even familiar enough with the sound anymore to know to run the other way. Probably roused half the neighborhood. I didn't see anything I could use as even a partial suppressor on the way in. Did they really not afford me some throw pillows? I used the other 5 bullets in outdoor spaces and small spheres of blind opportunity that the city's eyes couldn't think to pierce. Cramped places, usually full of trash. But this room, as cheap as it looks, is at least clean, organized even. So the corpse adds a certain satisfying contrast. Except, there's shit on the floor. By the window there are broken pieces of something fragile and tacky. It's fine. Just one thing out of place. Actually, it's not fine. Actually, really irritating. I kick over over the stupid goddamn mirror. 5% crime scenes, each of them not a speck of evidence, nothing to go on. And for the final shot, there just has to be some pile of shit in the corner ruining everything. I kick the wall. Something falls from it. Some probably more tasteless bullshit. I toss over the chair, knock the urn, tear into the sheets with my frustration, and try to savor the shredding. If it can't be clean, I'll just have to lean into the messy angle. At least it will be consistent. This was all so stupid. Honestly, I'm not the ego-driven type. In fact, I pride myself on my humility. Now, was it satisfying when the first 3 went down without with single shots? Yes. But so what? I'm not made of stone. After that, I did start to actively aim for the heart, but... Ugh. Heartbreak killer? Really? Don't people have anything better to do with their time? What kind of miserable, lifeless voyeurs would obsess over something that's none of their business? All of the threads and breakdowns and the goddamn theory crafting. And all for the heartbreak killer. Sounds like a soap opera villain from a season where the writers were on strike. I'd feel insulted by the label, but no, that's someone else's name. They came up with it. They spread it. They marketed it. Heartbreak's got nothing to do with me. He's just some reclusive, lonely, socially impotent loser who shot 6 people because... Oh, I'm sure people will come up with something. That he got rejected one too many times, or whatever. Me, I killed those people because I saw them and I wanted to. And I've killed a lot more than just 6. At least the room is thoroughly trashed now. If I had just walked away after seeing that mess by the window, it would have irritated me to no end. And now that it doesn't match the MO of the last 5 perfectly, it'll irritate the cops to no end instead. Good riddance, Heartbreak. You enjoy your 15 minutes in the spotlight. Really savor it. I'm going home. The air's weighty tonight, thick, energized. A heavily foreshadowed summer rain I can feel on every hair. They call this kind of humidity oppressive, but I disagree. The warm tension on your skin, like in those short moments just after the shower turns off, when the steam lingers. Yeah, it's always most comfortable right afterwards. Maybe there's no disagreement to be had. Oppressive things can be comforting too. Only the guilty ones run. I don't know about that. But I know I've never felt guilty about any of this. And I walk. Sorry, using my left is still... That's okay. You can just initial in those spots.
You should check profiles again.
Okay. I see. Occupation, criminal defense attorney. Likes, criminal, defense attorney. I like that. That's a nice detail. Likes high places, gambling, and guns. Dislikes nosy people, mud, and headphones. Hobby, batting cages. Favorite dish, Mapo tofu. Okay, Kirei. Cannot carry a tune. Amazing. I took a scenic route. Yep. Go ahead.
Compare it with Morgan's profile.
Okay.
Picture's a little different.
Yep. I mean, the profile, or the picture in the profile itself is the same, but different affect on the right there, yeah.
Not the eyes are different.
What are they? Oh, okay, yeah. I took a scenic route home, courtesy of our fine city's sprawling public transportation, and got in a bit after 11 p.m. Had myself a thorough shower, drank a glass of milk, did some stretching, made sure my phone was on. Time went by evenly. Around 1:40 a.m., a posting for public defender work came up. Decent rate since it was so late and so urgent. I had wagered correctly that the boyfriend would have enough sense to ask for a lawyer, and enough debt that he'd need to be provided one. All I had to do was stay awake. There wasn't much competition after 1 in the morning. Okay, where else? Here and here. How did I phrase it earlier? Criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. Why wouldn't I take on a job where I already knew more than the cops? It would have been easy to convince Carlos to plead out. I would have gotten paid the same, too. But easy is dangerous. Carlos was, of course, innocent, so his conviction would never be airtight. There would be doubts, questions, appeals. Maybe even fans, depending on his looks. More attention on HK and his crimes, more headaches. A cold case rotting in the very far back of the public awareness is always preferable to one open and shut in haste. Now, with no more murders matching HK's MO, there won't be any additional public pressure to find a culprit. Now, Heartbreak can just starve to death, out of sight and mind like any other fluke in the system. Almost done. Getting involved in the case this intimately does have its risks. Hell, I might have even overdone things here or there, like lighting up a smoke inside an interrogation room just to make doubly sure I didn't smell of gunpowder myself. That London fellow seemed more fixated on it than I would have liked. But obviously everything turned out rosy. And it's worth it for the finality of it all. Seeing the authorities' failings from the best seat in the house, that's just a bonus. Thanks again, Morgan, for everything. I'm sure Diane is grateful too. Funny. I didn't even know her name. Is something the matter? No, sorry, it's just... I was mad when I left the apartment. I know she was too. And when she died... Death was instantaneous, Carlos. I can't imagine that there was any pain. In fact, I can guarantee she was dead before she hit the ground. No, I know, but... I just keep thinking that she must have died angry at me. That she must have died hating me. I mean, this is what you do at the end of every fucking Ace Attorney game. To tell you the truth, Carlos, there's something I've been wondering about myself. What is it? Something I noticed in the ARC's data that I didn't quite understand. A piece of the puzzle I couldn't fit in anywhere else. But maybe you can make sense of it. What is the... Where did you find that? That pill organizer was found on the victim. She had it grasped in her hand when she died. Obviously, the police added it to the ARCs, but it was quickly ruled irrelevant. Seems like it contained tripsrexosone, prescribed to help modders with phantom itches. They're small tablets, and those are a tricky class, too, for a pill organizer. Could be hard to handle with an unsteady hand. No one will ever know what she was feeling when she died. Even if they did, feelings are complicated. You can feel angry, happy, and sad all at the same time. But as far as facts are concerned, it would appear that when she died, what she was doing was setting out your medications for the week. To my eyes, anyway. Long night. That was too far just now. Practically rubbing it in his face. It's not like I care about his feelings. I doubt I'll ever even see him again. But overstepping like that is pure hubris. And hubris invites a downfall. So why? Why did I even bother? was the last piece of the puzzle, I suppose. I'll just need to show more restraint next time. Though there won't be a next time for Heartbreak. The gun's in custody, there's no more bullets left. There won't be a 7th victim. There won't be any more leads to pursue. The media will move on to their next obsession. I'll move on to my next MO. And no one will ever found you. District Attorney Rockford. I like her already.
Yep, this is our
Miles Edgeworth.
Yes.
Sorry.
I was gonna say this is our prosecutor.
Sorry, can I try that again? I'm so fried. By all means. Counselor Morgan, morning, noon, or night, you're always so put together. Thank you. I don't get it. How do you sleep at night? Pardon? You do white noise, aromatherapy? Whatever you're doing, I need to steal it. God. Must have bags under my eyes dark enough for the dumpsters. Assistant District Attorney Emma Rockford. She's a prosecutor, the lawyer who argues for the state in court, trying to prove a defendant's guilt. And despite her sometimes unkempt appearance, she's probably the sharpest person to fill the position in decades. I should know, since I haven't beaten her once. Worse yet, she has the remarkable ability to compartmentalize all that adversarial energy and only bring it out in the courtroom. It's part of what makes her good at her job. And hard for me to read. Should I buy a new mattress? What have they got you doing at this ungodly hour, Emma? Oh, well, actually, I'm here for you. Me? Your client was a suspect in the Heartbreak killings. That's my case.
You also got a profile on Rockford.
Okay. Let's see. O+. I don't think that's an actual blood type.
O positive?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you can have O positive.
I might also just be talking out my ass, but...
Yeah, it
also,
is.
Also, I like that her weight is just nothing.
Morgan's is the same.
Yeah. Likes coffee, toffee, and hot couture. Dislikes sunburn, dead pixel and ice rain. Eggs, Benedict. Plays chess, shogi, and idol savant stars. Cat person? Yes. Look, I don't know much about blood, okay? I'm a robot.
I'm pretty sure O negative is the universal donor.
Okay.
Specifically. That's why it's so valuable. And then there's a few other blood types that are even more valuable that aren't really classified the same way, that are just like completely bereft of certain markers, and someone who loses blood who has that type is in big trouble.
Yeah.
So usually people with really rare blood types will donate blood so that if they ever get hurt, they can be given it.
Yep. Well then, you must have been relieved finding out that you won't have to go to trial against me. No? Why would I ever be worried about going up against you? It's always the unintended barbs with her. So, you're working with those detectives? Yeah, London and the new girl, Reyes. They've been reporting to me in preparation for trial. Preparation for trial? That seems ambitious. I guess they gave you the rundown. They've been doing everything they can, but it's hard to catch a killer who leaves behind so little. It's hard to kill while leaving so little behind. So Reyes told you they had had HK in custody, and you popped out of bed all excited to run down here? Hardly. I haven't slept in 40 hours. Too much on my mind. So when I heard about a case with a single female victim shot through the heart, yeah, my ears perked up. But that's about all. Oh? Game? There we go. I mean, Carlos Flat, a serial killer? The same serial killer that outsmarted the state for weeks? She's not using his middle name. He was found with the murder weapon. But I can answer that any number of ways. That may be true, but then I glanced at the report. You glanced at it? No gunpowder residue on him or his clothes. Right. Too remorseful, too apologetic in that note. Whatever it was about. His dominant arm modded with documented sensitivity issues. Never could have made shots that clean. Not without getting close enough to leave scorch marks. Not to mention, he's too tall for the ballistics entry angles. And probably too heavy to not leave imprints. She got all that from a glance. But I'm sure a competent lawyer like yourself pointed all that out the minute you walked in here. Of course. Worst part is she's not even being sarcastic. Yeah, of course. It couldn't have been him. Long-term relationship, physically imposing, argumentative, so not the type to bottle things up. He didn't match the profile. Profile? Yeah, Right, sorry, you've probably never heard of it. I know what a goddamn profile is. A profile is a reconstruction of a criminal psychology based on evidence from their crimes. Kind of fallen out of fashion for the last few decades. How much need to guess about the why when 99 times out of 100, the who is caught on camera? Or before they even leave the house. I've had to find some real fossils and oddballs to get advice on how to go about it. But I think I'm getting the hang of it. Well, at least this heartbreak maniac will slow down now that he's lost his weapon. He didn't lose it, he chose to leave it behind. That tells me he's confident he can do just fine without it. And it just makes me even more certain that these aren't his only kills. Were there other shootings with the same MO? No, not that I've found. Other victims that fit the description? No. But I'm not overly focused on the victim's appearance anyway. I mean, these 6 victims all look like each other, but they also look like a lot of people. That's true. Hell, they kind of look like me. Do they? Yeah, sure. What, you don't see it? I hadn't thought about it. Point is, no one can kill that cleanly when it's their first time. Getting things that perfect takes practice. So I know that HK must have had a lot more than 6 occasions to practice, Morgan. And that's why I think heartbreak is a misnomer. You've got something catchier in mind? I just don't think shooting them in the heart has any particular significance. If anything, it's a testament to their accuracy and their cold-blooded efficiency. The best possible use of 6 untagged bullets. 6 kills guaranteed, no matter what kind of life support mods they were packing. The real signature isn't the bullets or the gun. It's the perfection. That's hard to wrap your head around. I'm saying that these 6 murders were just a fluke, a slip-up, a mistake? Exactly, a mistake. They got too clean, too efficient, and now they've got the public's attention. It's no wonder they're so pissed. Are you talking about the crime scene? Yeah, probably threw the detectives for a loop, right? Based on what you said, I don't blame them. Whoever trashed that room doesn't seem like the smooth operator you've been describing. On the contrary. I don't follow. This was their last bullet, their last shot. Other 5 were perfect. So if anything was out of place at this time around, they must have thrown one hell of a temper tantrum. You make them sound like a child. Childish. And cowardly. And two-faced. Someone who hates to lose almost as much as they love to win. Your profile tell you all that? That? No. That part's just... takes one to know one. So this profiling, it's some kind of investigative technique? The theory is that a crime can tell you something about the nature of the person who committed it. Stabbing? Overkill? Points to passion, rage, lust. They probably knew their victim. Poison and guns, meanwhile, suggest they can't overpower their victims physically. And then there's the things that you can assume about nearly all serial offenders. Childhood trauma, prior criminal records, few or no meaningful attachments. There's a lot of recurring themes in their stories. The detectives say HK doesn't leave evidence. So how much can his crimes possibly tell you? That he's diligent, almost perfect, highly intelligent, painstakingly organized, and with enough criminal connections to get his hands on an untagged firearm. It's rare to see her this animated outside the courtroom. It's almost like she's enjoying herself. A sheltered house cat who's picked up the scent of a mouse for the first time. A lone wolf, educated, but all her playfully lethal instincts coming to life. Probably overqualified or undervalued. Though I'm not thrilled about the fact that in that metaphor, I would be the... You know what I mean? Definitely. And considering the marksmanship, detectives said that HK would have needed insider information on optics. So does that mean heartbreaks in law enforcement? Never in 10 billion years. Oh. Antisocial, independent, despises authority. That'd be like a stallion applying for a job on a merry-go-round. They'd be kicking kids in the heads after the first full rotation. Right, that's exactly how I'd put it. There must be some connection to the police, though. Maybe secondary or tertiary. Those types can't help but insert themselves. Insert themselves? I do not anything even resembling that. Wait, if HK's not a cop, how did they know about the blackout timing? Crime, metastatistics analysis? Probably. Pardon? Take the emergency response time from across the city and map them out. Look for brief spikes and delays. Chart out the dips and... Sorry. Technical, I know. But all the requisite data is publicly available. With a map, a spreadsheet, a calculator, anyone could reverse engineer the timing if they wanted to. That is such an unpleasant thought, Emma. So, to summarize, you're looking for a cold-blooded, faceless perfectionist killer who you think has no persistent MO or victim type? In a city with an 8-digit population? Well, good luck! I don't need luck. I only need more information. Well, I'm sure the city will be happy to provide you with more resources. No, Morgan. I mean, I need more crime scenes. Oh. Sad truth is, if Heartbreak walked away today, I'd never catch them. Only way my net narrows is if they keep piling up bodies. Not a very fair trade, is it? No, it isn't. But getting screwed over is a given. It's a deal with the devil. Fair enough. Woof. Okay, that rant was pretty morbid and detailed. I need to get out more, or sleep more. Or sleep less, but harder? You think a higher thread count would help? Don't worry about it. I'm always happy to listen to you ramble. It's a lot more pleasant than having to face you in the courtroom. Sorry, but that's adversarial process. So no hard feelings, yeah? No hard feelings. We're both just doing what we do. I could use a cup of coffee. How about you? Don't tempt me. If you fall asleep face first onto the table, I won't even take a picture. Okay. Just don't expect this to make a difference next time we're at each other's throats. Heartbreak won't claim any more victims. In 2 weeks, the media will have moved on to the next sensation. And the police will have moved on to cases they actually stand a chance of closing. It's what people do. But Emma is different. She'll set it aside and work a dozen other cases, never bringing it up. But a private corner of that frustratingly sharp mind of hers will continue to whittle away at it. Never finishing, but never quite quitting either. So I can't afford to take my eyes off of her. As long as that's the case, I may as well try to enjoy the view. Which means you're going to be living with my friend for a while. For how long? I'm sorry, I don't know. There's no need to look that upset over it. My face barely moved. It may as well have been a blatant pout from where I'm sitting. Yeah, like that. This friend of yours, they're trustworthy? Absolutely. In fact, I trust them more than anyone. Hey, come on, it'll be fun! Really? Really, educational too. I think you could stand to learn a lot from someone like Morgan. So that protagonist-looking character is gonna be Armia. Yeah, Maya, but yes. That was pretty, or Maya. Yeah, pretty obvious. Yep. So what did you think? That was a lot more than I was expecting, in every direction. Is that good? Yes, very good. And there's only one more episode. It's like 3 times as long. Well, yeah. By the way. And there's gonna be more, thank goodness. But it's like, you know, you finish episode 1, it's like, I want episode 2 now, please. Yup. I'm giving my throat a rest here because voicing all that did take it out of me, like, damn. No, I get you. Also, Nyx, what it reminds me of is just Ace Attorney and Danganronpa doing the fusion dance. With the aesthetics of Persona 5. Well, I mean... Or taking cues from Persona 5's aesthetics. I mean, aesthetics-wise, this is more Danganronpa than Persona 5, I'd say. It's a bit of both. The staticky and a lot of the other effects, you know, are more Danganronpa, but the some of the rhythm of some of the cuts are definitely Persona-esque. These are all previews. Oh yeah, I figured. That's why I'm not worried about voicing it all. Now there are interviews that you can click on and listen to characters talk. I love Raya's. She's such a nerd. Yeah. But yeah, you barely got a taste of the game's Edgeworth. What do you think? I kind of love her. I know, right?
She was barely in it, but oh my god, she's perfect.
Like, to bring this back to Danganronpa, that does feel like Junko just using her powers for good instead of evil.
A little bit, yeah. What do you think of Morgan?
Morgan is fascinating.
How'd you like the twist?
I admit I didn't see it coming, but like it's one of those twists that as soon as it happens, like literally everything slots into place.
Yeah, and just her assertions of, "Oh, don't worry, you're innocent."
Yeah. Like, I get that from Ace Attorney because Phoenix is just that trusting of a douche or doofus that, you know, he just needs a sob story and knows, but
yeah, the direction the whole Heartbreak Killer arc continues in is very interesting.
yeah.
Obviously not all the cases are going to be about heartbreak.
Well, yeah.
For purchases, that's you can add little charms to your phone when you pull it out, or change the phone case. And it's so sad because you had to have played the demo in order to get one of them. If you go look, it'd be under bonuses.
Yep. Well, I mean, I will check that out later, but
Okay,
I need to give my throat a rest. I'm going to call
absolutely.
I'm going to call things there. So tomorrow will be FF6 over on May's channel. And then Friday will be Hades over with Rosa. For now, I'm going to send y'all over to Kyo as fucking revenge for raiding me last time. But in the meantime, y'all have an excellent evening. Take care, and I will catch you all later.